Estudos mostram que os sons do mar podem relaxar e acalmar, mergulhando-nos em sono profundo e tranquilo. Boa noite. The depth of the Mariana Trench, reaching 10,900 meters, remains one of the most mysterious places on the planet. However, in the early 60s, two brave individuals, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, set out to accomplish the impossible. They planned to descend to the bottom of this abyss in the bathyscaphe Trieste. Imagine a narrow cabin, barely large enough for two men, with a diameter of just over 2 meters, surrounded by steel walls capable of withstanding incredible pressure, around 8 tons per square centimeter. As the bathyscaphe began its descent, the temperature around it dropped sharply, and cold water seeped through, even through the thick protective glass. Inside, silence reigned, broken only by the muffled sounds of the equipment's operation, while outside, absolute darkness prevailed, occasionally interrupted by the weak light from powerful searchlights aimed into the vast depths of the ocean. At that moment, Piccard and Walsh found themselves surrounded by an invisible enemy, the darkness and unpredictability that no human technology could overcome. As the bathyscaphe descended deeper, the crew felt the pressure increasing, and each meter seemed like a step into the unknown, where no human had ever ventured before. Panic could have easily taken hold inside the cabin, but instead, they remained focused, aware that each second brought them closer to a historic moment. As the depth increased, their hearts beat in sync with the rhythm of the machinery, and each new step seemed like a step on the edge of possibility. Surrounding them was an abyss full of mysteries, and with each meter of descent, they approached the deepest point of the ocean, where light does not penetrate, and life takes on the most extraordinary forms. Finally, when the bathyscaphe reached the bottom, they discovered something astonishing: incredible organisms capable of surviving in conditions that would be deadly for most living beings. But the most remarkable thing was that they witnessed one of the greatest wonders of nature. A world, of which no one had even an inkling, was revealed to them in the darkness, forever changing humanity's understanding of life in the deepest waters. This moment marked the beginning of a new era of ocean research, and perhaps it is only the beginning of what we can still discover in the depths of this mysterious trench. The Mariana Trench, more than just the deepest point on our planet, is a true abyss, reaching a depth of 10,981 meters. To grasp the scale, imagine that the height of the highest mountain on Earth, Mount Everest, is 8,848 meters, making the Mariana Trench more than 11 times deeper. This depth is located in the western part of the Pacific Ocean, east of the Philippines, and covers an area of approximately 140,000 square kilometers, comparable to the size of countries like Greece. The first documented descent into this mysterious trench occurred in 1951, when explorer Don Walsh and oceanographer Jacques Piccard, aboard the bathyscaphe Trieste, reached the bottom. Their descent lasted only a few hours, but in that time they witnessed otherworldly landscapes, massive underwater rocks, and unusual forms of life that barely seemed to exist in such extreme conditions. The pressure in the Mariana Trench is astonishing. It exceeds 8,000 atmospheres, which is 600 times greater than on the Earth's surface. This pressure can crush even the most robust submersibles, making a descent into the trench a true test for technology. The temperature at the bottom of the trench fluctuates around 1 degree Celsius, creating conditions where life seems impossible. Nevertheless, despite these conditions, scientists find unique organisms here, such as amphipods that crawl along the bottom and can reach the size of a fist. They have adapted to these extreme conditions, and their existence challenges our understanding of life on Earth. These creatures use special proteins to protect their cells from the destructive pressure. But that's not the most peculiar thing. In the Mariana Trench, other forms of life have been discovered, such as unusual bacteria that can survive in the absence of light and oxygen. Research continues, and each time scientists venture into this abyss, they uncover something new and extraordinary that challenges our understanding of the planet's biodiversity. Did you know that there are even hot springs in this trench, with temperatures up to 400 degrees Celsius, which release minerals and create unique ecosystems? Imagine that we have explored only 13% of the world ocean, while the remaining 87% remains a mystery to humanity. This means that we know far less about the depths of the ocean than we do about the surface of the moon, where astronauts have already landed and conducted experiments. While space technologies have reached unprecedented heights, allowing us to send probes to Mars and beyond, our own planet hides many secrets beneath its watery surface. For instance, only 2% of oceanic depths have been thoroughly explored using modern technologies such as sonar and underwater robots, but even this does not allow us to fully understand what is happening in these inaccessible places. Did you know that the depth of the Mariana Trench reaches almost 11 kilometers? This is more than the combined height of all the mountains on Earth. Despite significant efforts, such as missions to study oceanic ecosystems, we still do not know how many species inhabit these depths. While there are more than 2 million known species on the surface of Earth, the ocean depths may harbor millions that have not yet been discovered. Furthermore, each new expedition reveals several new species, highlighting just how little we understand about the underwater world. But that's not all. Estimates suggest that more than 90% of oceanic species live in depths that we have never seen. For example, did you know that in one expedition conducted in 2020, more than 100 new species were discovered in the waters around the Mariana Trench? This raises the question, what else does the ocean hide? And the most intriguing thing is that the ocean plays a key role in regulating Earth's climate, and even without knowing about its inhabitants, we cannot fully assess its impact on our planet. Ocean currents, such as the Gulf Stream, transport 30% of heat from the equator to the poles, and this change in temperature affects weather and climatic conditions in various regions. However, there is a paradox. While we can track changes on other planets, we do not have a complete picture of how human activity affects oceanic ecosystems. Each year, the level of carbon dioxide in the ocean increases, and its acidity has increased by 28% since the 19th century. This could have catastrophic consequences for marine organisms, such as corals, which have already begun to suffer from mass bleaching. Isn't that astonishing? While we dream of conquering space, we should not forget that beneath our feet lies a whole world waiting to be explored. Deep-sea ecosystems are indeed alien worlds hidden beneath the vast oceans, where pressure can reach 1,000 atmospheres and temperatures drop to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Imagine what it's like. Every meter of descent into the ocean increases the pressure by 130 kilograms per square centimeter. In such conditions, life not only survives but adapts, turning limitations into advantages. For instance, some organisms have developed flexible bodies that allow them to withstand enormous pressures. These creatures do not need sunlight. In absolute darkness, they use chemical reactions to obtain energy, a process known as chemosynthesis. It's like being able to eat from a battery without needing food or sunlight. Now imagine entire ecosystems deep in the ocean, where life revolves around thermo- and chemosynthetic organisms that form the basis of the food chain. It's fascinating that such ecosystems can exist at depths of up to 6,000 meters, in places where even the most advanced submersibles cannot stay long. How can they survive in such conditions? The answer lies in their unique biochemistry. Some organisms possess proteins that protect them from extreme temperatures and pressures, allowing them to feel comfortable in an environment where human bodies would be destroyed. Have you ever wondered what life looks like in the pitch-black depths of the ocean? It's not just the absence of light, it's a whole world where organisms glow like the night sky. Some of them have bioluminescent organs that serve to attract partners or repel predators. Let's consider how these deep-sea inhabitants use their unique abilities. They can exchange substances that allow them to survive on minimal food, meaning there can't be an abundance. In such ecosystems, life unfolds on a scale that's hard to imagine, from large colonies to microscopic bacteria, each playing its role. But what if I tell you that organisms have been found in these depths that can live without oxygen, relying on sulfur. This raises the question of how much more we still don't know about life's possibilities. Moreover, thanks to their adaptability, these creatures can exist in conditions that seem completely inhospitable to most forms of life on Earth. And what's even more astonishing? Some of these organisms can survive at depths where temperatures drop to -30 degrees and pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. In the depths of the ocean, there exist extraordinary creatures capable of surviving in complete darkness. Anglerfish are true masters of adaptation. Their bioluminescent lure, located on a long stalk, glows like a nightlight, attracting prey. This lure can be as large as a ping-pong ball and can change color, making it even more enticing to potential victims. But that's not all. The anglerfish's mouth is so large that they can swallow objects twice their own size. How is this possible? It's all due to the unique structure of their jaws and elastic skin, which allows them to stretch to incredible sizes. Imagine an anglerfish the size of a small dog swallowing a fish equal to its own weight without any discomfort. This is nature's mastery on the brink of fantasy. Now imagine this. Male anglerfish are significantly smaller than females. They can be as small as 25 centimeters, while females can grow up to 50 centimeters. This striking dimorphism is not without reason. Males, being tiny, form an unbreakable bond with females, allowing them to obtain food and protection from predators. But that's not all. In some cases, males can literally fuse with females, losing their organs and becoming part of their body. This shocking strategy ensures survival in conditions where food is a luxury. And the most astonishing thing? Anglerfish can detect prey at great distances even in total darkness, thanks to specialized organs sensitive to water movements. In such conditions, where there is no light, survival becomes an art. Every part of their body is a result of millions of years of evolution and adaptation to the harshest conditions of life on the planet. Giant squids embody the mystery of the ocean depths, evoking both fear and awe for centuries. The first accounts of them date back to ancient Greek myths, where their descriptions intertwined with images of sea monsters like the Charybdis and Scylla. Ancient sailors told tales of chiton, colossal sea creatures capable of sinking ships. The 18th century marked a turning point. Sailors began finding the corpses of these creatures, and their sizes were truly enormous, up to 17 meters in length. However, the scientific community long dismissed these stories as myths. It was not until the late 19th century, when a giant squid carcass measuring 10 meters was found off the coast of New Zealand, that the era of scientific study of these enigmatic creatures began. Researchers faced significant challenges in studying giant squids. Their habitat at great depths makes observation nearly impossible. The discovery of bioluminescent properties in their skin further fueled researchers' interest. Imagine these creatures glowing like celestial stars in the dark ocean. Nevertheless, for many years, there were only rare and vague reports of encounters with these squids in their natural habitat. In 2015, a breakthrough occurred. A Japanese research team led by Drs. Hiroshi Kawata and Shinichi Ueda captured the first live giant squid at a depth of over 900 meters. Footage taken with a special camera shows the squid gracefully moving in its natural environment, spreading its tentacles up to 5 meters long. This discovery was a landmark event in the scientific world and sparked intense public discussion. How much more do we not know about the ocean's secrets? According to scientists, less than 1% of the ocean floor has been explored, leaving a wealth of questions about the lives of these unique creatures. How do they hunt in the abyss? The secrets of their survival remain beyond our understanding. Their roles in ecosystems are also crucial. How do these giants affect the food chains of deep-sea creatures? Each new fact about giant squids opens up new horizons for research, leaving us eagerly awaiting the next discoveries. Hydrothermal sources known as black smokers are underwater oases that form at the boundaries of tectonic plates, where seawater penetrates cracks in the Earth's crust and is heated to temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Celsius. This mineral-rich water is expelled onto the surface as hot jets, creating impressive smokers that can reach heights of up to 20 meters. But that's just the beginning. Chemical reactions in these sources bring to the surface inorganic substances, such as hydrogen sulfide, which serves as a source of energy for unique ecosystems living in the absence of sunlight. Among these black smokers, organisms like tube worms up to 3 meters long thrive, using chemosynthesis to convert hydrogen sulfide into organic compounds. These worms are just the tip of the iceberg, as entire colonies of bacteria also inhabit these areas, functioning as primary producers in this ecosystem. But did you know that research suggests these ecosystems could exist beyond our planet? In places like Europa, a moon of Jupiter, scientists hypothesize the existence of subsurface oceans with similar hydrothermal sources. This discovery raises a crucial question. Could life similar to what we observe on Earth exist in extreme conditions on other planets? Additionally, hydrothermal sources play a vital role in the global cycling of materials, as they enrich the ocean with minerals and influence climate. Studies show that these sources may contain up to 30% of all dissolved minerals in the ocean, making them true factories for the formation of new ecosystems. The importance of these sources in the scientific community is hard to overstate, as they open doors to understanding the mechanisms that could support life in the most unexpected corners of our universe. And here's the most astonishing part. Temperatures in black smokers can reach 80 degrees Celsius, yet life continues to flourish in this whirlwind of extreme conditions. Deep-sea currents are hidden rivers that flow within the depths of oceans, transporting colossal volumes of water and regulating the thermal balance of the entire planet. These invisible streams extend for thousands of kilometers and can move at speeds up to 10 kilometers per hour, creating powerful systems that influence the climatic conditions on the Earth's surface. Imagine how cold and warm waters mix in these underwater rivers, forming complex patterns that can lead to changes in weather conditions at opposite ends of the planet. It is important to know that these currents are responsible for redistributing heat. 30% of the solar energy that reaches the oceans ends up in these waters, sustaining life in ecosystems that depend on stable temperatures. But that's not the most astonishing thing. In some places, this circulation can be so powerful that even minor temperature changes on the surface can cause global climate changes. How is this possible? The deep-sea currents act like enormous pumps, transporting heat to the poles and cold to the equator, thereby maintaining the temperature balance necessary for life on Earth. What's even more shocking? These currents can change their trajectory and speed in response to changes in the surrounding environment, such as the melting of glaciers or changes in wind speeds. For instance, if the glaciers in Greenland melt, this can lead to fresh water entering the oceans, which in turn affects the density of the water and thus the movement of these currents. Powerful deep-sea currents, such as those in the southern part of the Atlantic, can be 3 times faster than their surface counterparts, and their influence on climatic conditions can be felt thousands of kilometers from their source. Remarkably, even small changes in these currents can have serious consequences for ecosystems that depend on stable temperatures. For example, if deep-sea currents slow down, this can lead to an increase in temperature in the tropics, which in turn can affect the level of precipitation and create conditions for severe natural disasters. And that's not all. Some research shows that deep-sea currents can even influence the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which has a huge impact on climate change. These underwater rivers, hidden from view, indeed possess the power to change the climate of the planet. The Gulf Stream is a powerful ocean current that begins in the Gulf of Mexico and races across the Atlantic Ocean, exerting a decisive influence on the climate of Europe. The temperature of the water in this current fluctuates between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, making it one of the warmest currents in the world. Imagine that the Gulf Stream transports around 30 million cubic meters of water every second, which is equivalent to the flow that could fill 8,000 Olympic swimming pools in a single day. This current not only warms the coastal regions of northern Europe, but also alters weather conditions over vast territories, creating a milder climate in countries like the United Kingdom and Norway. However, did you know that the Gulf Stream moves at a speed of around 30 kilometers per hour? This makes it one of the fastest ocean currents, and its speed can significantly vary depending on the season and location. But that's not all. Scientists suggest that the Gulf Stream may weaken due to global warming, which could have serious consequences for the climate of Europe. Studies show that if the Earth's temperature rises by just 2 degrees, this could result in a 30% reduction in the strength of the Gulf Stream. And here's where it gets really fascinating. Some theories claim that a change in the direction of the current could lead to a sudden cooling in Europe, making us realize how dependent we are on this natural phenomenon. In historical context, the influence of the Gulf Stream on climate has been a subject of study since the 19th century, when sailors began to notice its impact on the weather in the Atlantic. In the 12th century, Vikings already used it in their maritime voyages, which underscores its importance throughout the centuries. But what is truly intriguing is that some scientists even suggest that if the Gulf Stream changes its direction, this could trigger global climate changes that would affect not only Europe, but the entire planet. For instance, changes in the current could lead to extreme weather conditions, including severe floods and droughts, that would threaten agriculture and ecosystems. It's important to remember that the power of the Gulf Stream is not limited to its temperature or speed. It also plays a crucial role in redistributing heat around the Earth, maintaining the balance that supports life on the planet. And the most incredible thing is that every time we observe changes in the climate, we are essentially looking at the Gulf Stream as an indicator of the health of our planet. The deep ocean current of the Southern Ocean around Antarctica is a powerful and unique element of the global water circulation system, covering more than 30 million square kilometers. Known as the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, this current moves at speeds up to 100 kilometers per day and plays a crucial role in redistributing heat, carbon dioxide, and nutrients across all the oceans of the Earth. Do you know what happens when this current interacts with ice shelves? It contributes to their destruction by bringing warm waters to the surface and causing melting. This is not without consequence, as the melting of ice shelves releases a vast amount of fresh water into the ocean, which can alter the salinity and, consequently, the density of ocean waters, affecting global currents. But that's not all. The Antarctic current actively absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, reducing its concentration and slowing down global warming processes. For instance, over the past 20 years, it has absorbed more than 130 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Now imagine this. If the ocean temperature rises by just 1 degree Celsius, its ability to absorb carbon dioxide could decrease by as much as 30%. And here's where things get really alarming. Changes in temperature and salinity can cause the current to slow down. As a result, ocean ecosystems could start to change, and this means that fish and other marine creatures could lose their habitats. What's even more shocking, some estimates suggest that if these changes continue, by the end of the century, the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere could reach 450 parts per million, leading to catastrophic consequences for the entire planet. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The influence of the Antarctic current on the climate of the entire planet remains one of the most complex and intriguing topics in oceanography. This delicate mechanism, which seems so fragile, actually controls the climate of the Earth, and even the slightest changes can have devastating consequences. The Bermuda Triangle, located between Florida, Puerto Rico, and the Bermuda Islands, is a mysterious geographical zone shrouded in legends and myths. The number of ships and aircraft that have disappeared in this area is staggering. This enigmatic region covers approximately 1 million square miles and has witnessed more than 200 unexplained disappearances. For decades, this territory has captivated researchers and enthusiasts of mysteries due to numerous inexplicable events involving maritime and airborne vehicles. Imagine a concentration of mysterious disappearances so high that it has become a subject of interest not only for scientists, but also for writers, filmmakers, and even conspiracy theorists. Each new case adds to the confusion of this already complex history, creating the impression that nature itself is opposing humanity. Local residents and sailors still recount strange phenomena, sudden weather changes, and mysterious flashes of light on the horizon. Legends about the Bermuda Triangle include stories of lost civilizations swallowed by the sea and unknown creatures responsible for the disappearances. Did you know that this region is home to a unique magnetic anomaly which is believed to affect navigational instruments? This explanation is one of the most widespread theories, but it is far from a definitive answer. It is no surprise that the Bermuda Triangle is shrouded in an aura of mystery, and many continue to try to unravel its secrets. Over the past decades, numerous studies have been conducted, but none have been able to definitively explain why this particular stretch of ocean is so dangerous for ships and aircraft. If you think this is just a myth, consider that even modern technologies cannot always guarantee safety in this area, raising even more questions. This place remains an object of study and discussion, and each new disappearance adds fuel to the fire. Some theories suggest that the Bermuda Triangle is connected to paranormal phenomena, while others propose that it could be a portal to another dimension. There are many theories, many questions, and no definitive answers. That is how the world sees the Bermuda Triangle. But what is truly shocking is that in this region, the ocean depth exceeds 6,000 meters, and its depths may hold answers that humanity is currently unable to decipher. In December 1945, an event occurred that continues to raise numerous questions and mysteries: the disappearance of 5 torpedo bombers, Zveno 19. These planes, which were on maneuvers, took off from a Florida airbase at 8:15 a.m. They were supposed to perform a training mission over the Caribbean Sea, but at some point, contact with them was lost. The last radio messages from the crews were filled with concern. "We have lost our way," reported the flight commander, Lieutenant Charles Taylor. But this was just the beginning of the oddities. Soon after, at 9:30 a.m., he sent another message: "We cannot find land." This was the last transmission received from the planes. A search operation was immediately launched. Over 100 aircraft and ships, including military and civilian vessels, were involved in the rescue efforts. The search area covered 4,000 square miles. What is astonishing is that the search for the torpedo bombers began under clear weather conditions and light winds. How is this possible? There are many theories explaining the disappearance of Zveno 19. Some suggest that the crew could have lost their way due to magnetic anomalies, which are common in this area. Others point to possible malfunctions in the navigation instruments. And now, the most strange thing. A few days after the disappearance, the search operation encountered another chilling incident. A plane sent to look for them also disappeared, and its traces were lost. In the end, the total number of missing people reached 6. But that's not all. Several months after these events, strange things began to happen in the Bermuda Triangle. In this area, mysterious phenomena were recorded, from the disappearance of ships to unexplained radio signals. The mystery of Zveno 19 remains unsolved, and the number of theories and speculations continues to grow. What really happened to these planes? Perhaps the answers lie at the bottom of the ocean, where the depth reaches 6,000 meters. The mystery of the disappearance of the USS Cyclops in March 1918 is remarkable not only for its enigmatic nature, but also for the scale of the ship itself. The Cyclops was 182 meters long and 23 meters wide, making it one of the largest auxiliary cruisers in the U.S. Navy. On board were 363 crew members and passengers, including not only sailors, but also civilians, including families of military personnel. The ship departed from Havana, and its last known location was near the Bermuda Triangle, where the waters conceal many secrets. Do you know that the Cyclops never sent a distress signal? This raises questions. How could such a large ship simply vanish without a trace? One of the most popular theories suggests that the ship collided with a powerful hurricane raging in the area. But the hurricane was not strong enough to destroy such a large ship, and leave no trace. Here's where it gets interesting. Some researchers believe that the Cyclops may have fallen victim to pirates who operated in the region. However, this is just a hypothesis, as there were not only military personnel, but also civilians on board at the time of its disappearance, making this version less likely. Other theories link the disappearance to a possible technical malfunction. A shortage of fuel could have prevented the ship from returning to port. But how could this have happened to a ship that underwent regular inspections? The whirlpools and underwater currents of the Bermuda Triangle also spark much debate, as they can drag a ship to the bottom, but the Cyclops was not known to be susceptible to such incidents. Did you know that more than 1,000 disappearances have been registered in this area? One of the most shocking facts is that, many years after the disappearance of the Cyclops, its fate remains a mystery, and search operations have yielded no results. The ship left no wreckage or traces on the surface, and the enigma of its disappearance continues to raise more questions than answers. Water in the Bermuda Triangle conceals numerous mysteries, and one of the most shocking theories concerns methane outbursts. The underwater layers of the ocean can contain vast reserves of methane, which, upon release, form powerful bubbles capable of lifting enormous masses of water to the surface. These outbursts can be so large that even large ships weighing several thousand tons can lose their buoyancy and sink in just a few seconds. Research indicates that methane hydrates located at depths of around 1,000 meters can suddenly release due to changes in pressure or temperature. This leads to the formation of sudden and powerful waves on the surface that can destroy ships. However, this is not all. Magnetic anomalies in this area also raise serious questions. Measurements show that the magnetic field in the Bermuda Triangle can fluctuate by more than 30% from the expected norms. This means that compasses can provide incorrect readings, causing even the most experienced sailors to lose their way. Studies conducted in 2005 confirmed that such anomalies can mislead navigators, leading to dangerous situations at sea. Now imagine what happens when unusual weather conditions are added to this. In the Bermuda Triangle, strong storms and tropical hurricanes are frequently observed. Some meteorologists claim that the combination of high water temperature and a specific underwater topography creates ideal conditions for the formation of tornadoes and water vortices that can lift everything in their path. Such phenomena can be so sudden that ships and planes do not have time to react. And here comes the human factor. A significant role in the disappearance of ships is played by navigation errors and the inexperience of crews. For example, over 260 small vessels have disappeared in this area over the past 50 years. The causes of their wrecks are often unclear, but the human factor is always a risk, especially in poor visibility and complex weather conditions. Studies conducted in 2006 showed that around 40% of incidents are due to human error. But this is not the only mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. There are still many unsolved enigmas waiting to be discovered. Sea Devil, or the Dragon's Hole, is not just a myth, but a natural phenomenon that has both fascinated and terrified sailors for centuries. Imagine a powerful whirlpool capable of pulling not only small objects, but entire ships into its depths, as if they simply vanish into the abyss. These whirlpools can reach diameters of up to 100 meters, with water speeds sometimes exceeding 30 kilometers per hour. What do you think happens to a ship that gets caught in such a whirlpool? In reality, the force of the whirlpool creates pressure differences, causing objects to sink to the ocean floor and become victims of the underwater abyss. But that's not the most astonishing part. Such phenomena are often mentioned in maritime folklore of various cultures, where they are attributed magical powers. For centuries, sailors from different corners of the world have shared stories of devilish whirlpoids that not only claimed ships, but also the souls of their crews. In some legends, it was said that if you saw a whirlpool, it was a sign to change course, or you would end up in the realm of the dead. These stories were often passed down orally, creating an atmosphere of fear and mystery around these natural phenomena. Did you know that in some cases, whirlpools can form due to tides and currents, creating real spectacles on the ocean's surface? This happens when powerful currents collide, forming what can be called hell on water. Research shows that such whirlpools can occur in any ocean, and their power knows no bounds. But what is truly amazing is that scientists estimate that the number of shipwrecks caused by such whirlpools can reach up to 30% of all maritime incidents. These figures make you wonder how many more secrets the ocean holds. And here's what's even more shocking. Some whirlpools can even influence climate conditions, creating powerful storms that cover vast areas and bring destruction to the shore. Maelstrom, the whirlpool about which legends are spun, is located between the islands of the Lofoten archipelago and is one of the most powerful natural phenomena on the planet. Its diameter can reach approximately 30 meters, while the depth of the whirlpool can vary from 30 to 50 meters, creating perilous conditions for any ship that dares to approach it. Every 6 hours during high tide, the speed of the current in the maelstrom can reach up to 14 kilometers per hour, comparable to the speed of a sprinter running a race. But that's not all. The whirlpool is formed due to the interaction of powerful tides and narrow passages between the islands, creating a true water vortex that engulfs everything in its path. What's most fascinating is that the maelstrom is not only terrifying, but also beautifully described in literature, from Edgar Allan Poe's Sea Tales to Jules Verne's Children of Captain Grant. Poe, in his tale, directly mentions the maelstrom, depicting it as a mysterious and dangerous place from which there is no escape. Meanwhile, Verne, in Children of Captain Grant, describes it from an adventure perspective, highlighting how the whirlpool can be a test for brave sailors. This whirlpool has become a symbol not only of natural power, but also of human courage, evoking both awe and fear. It is worth noting that the maelstrom continues to be a subject of study for scientists who are trying to understand how tides and underwater currents interact. Now, imagine the maelstrom's size increasing during a storm, covering an area comparable to several football fields. Did you know that even on calm days, the whirlpool can pose a threat to fishermen, trapping them in its waters? Each approach to this natural phenomenon requires not only bravery, but also deep knowledge of tides, which can change at any moment. The maelstrom remains not only a geographical phenomenon, but also a cultural symbol, reflecting the fears and dreams of those who have dared to cross its waters. And just when you think you know everything about the maelstrom, remember that its mysteries are not yet fully revealed, and each new expedition promises new discoveries. The whirlpool of Naruto, located in a narrow strait between the islands of Awaji and Shikoku, is one of the most powerful and awe-inspiring natural phenomena in Japan. Its diameter reaches 30 meters, and the speed of the current can exceed 20 kilometers per hour. But that's not all. The strongest vortices appear twice a day, and their strength is directly dependent on the lunar cycles. During full moons and new moons, the whirlpool becomes particularly active, and local residents proudly speak of its lunar power, which not only gives it physical strength, but also a mystical aura. Did you know that the Naruto whirlpool is actually formed due to the unique geography of this region? The narrow strait creates ideal conditions for the formation of vortices when tides and currents collide. This phenomenon attracts the attention of not only scientists and naturalists, but also tourists from all over the world who want to see this natural force with their own eyes. Every year, more than 100,000 tourists come here to enjoy the breathtaking views and feel part of this unique natural theater. Now imagine how local residents have long perceived the whirlpool as a symbol of life force and danger at the same time. In Japanese culture, Naruto embodies the union of two forces, water and the moon, making it an important object of veneration and a source of inspiration for artists, poets, and philosophers. In traditional beliefs, there was even a legend that the whirlpool is the home of a sea spirit that guards these waters. Local fishermen, going to sea, always left offerings, hoping for good luck and protection. And here begins the truly extraordinary. In recent years, the Japanese government has been actively developing tourist infrastructure around the whirlpool. Special observation platforms and sightseeing boats have been installed, allowing tourists to observe the vortices up close. But this is not just entertainment. It is an opportunity to connect with ancient traditions and feel the same magic that their ancestors felt. And did you know that Naruto has become a part of Japan's cultural heritage, and its image can be found on numerous souvenirs and works of art? The whirlpool is not only physically powerful, but also symbolizes the unity of man and nature, making it an important element of Japanese identity. So, if you think it's just a natural phenomenon, consider this. Naruto hides deep meanings that continue to captivate minds and hearts for centuries. The Saltstraumen in Norway is not just a natural phenomenon, but a true natural wonder that impresses with its scale and power. Imagine this. The maximum flow speed reaches 130 kilometers per hour, making it the fastest tidal current in the world. This whirlpool forms in a narrow strait between the islands of Meloy and Veru, which is only 30 meters wide. Every day, twice a day with the change of tide, the direction of the flow changes, creating mesmerizing whirlpools that attract tourists from all over the world. But that's not all. Saltstraumen is rich in nutrients, making it a key location for the local ecosystem. Here, thousands of fish, including cod, herring, and salmon, thrive, creating excellent conditions for fishing. Local fishermen know that the largest catches come from this whirlpool, as the flow brings in numerous small organisms that attract larger predators. Remarkably, not only fish, but also dolphins, and even whale sharks come here for food. Did you know that Saltstraumen was formed as a result of the melting of glaciers, and its power continues to shape the coastline? This natural phenomenon has become an ecological center where every drop of water plays a role. The whirlpool not only supports life in its waters, but also maintains the balance in the surrounding environment, creating unique conditions for many species. And here's the most fascinating part. Even today, this powerful current holds unsolved mysteries, and scientists continue to study how it affects the regional climate system. Sunken cities and civilizations are true mysteries, hidden beneath the waters of oceans and seas, preserving numerous secrets and untold stories. Imagine entire settlements where life once thrived, now submerged, with their streets and houses enveloped in seaweed and the mysterious blue depths. These underwater worlds, often located tens of meters below the surface, offer unique opportunities for archaeologists to study ancient cultures that have vanished, leaving behind only fragmented references in historical chronicles. Did you know that in just the last 30 years, archaeologists have discovered around 100 sunken cities worldwide? These discoveries help fill in gaps in our understanding of the past. Sometimes objects are found on the ocean floor that are astonishingly well preserved. Ceramic vessels, tools, even entire sculptures. And some of these artifacts date back thousands of years. Scientists believe that submerged cities can reveal information about social structures, religious practices, and everyday life of the people who once inhabited these lands. For example, in one such settlement, remnants of complex water supply systems can be found, indicating the advanced technologies of their time. But that's not the most extraordinary thing. Recent research shows that the underwater sounds produced by these submerged places can tell us about how life evolved in these ecosystems. Scientists use special underwater microphones to record sounds that can be heard at depths of up to 100 meters. And what's even more astonishing? In some regions, the ocean floor has revealed traces of ancient roads, suggesting that these settlements were once part of major trade routes. Such discoveries change our understanding of how civilizations developed. They did not simply disappear, but were often submerged due to natural disasters, such as earthquakes or tsunamis. Each new artifact raised from the ocean floor gives scientists the chance to reevaluate historical facts and reassess the significance of various cultures. And now, imagine that some of these cities are located at depths of more than 200 meters. How could they have looked, and what have we overlooked when discussing ancient civilizations? Underwater research continues to open new horizons, and each discovery is another step towards understanding how our ancestors lived. Sunken city of Pavlopetri off the coast of Greece is not just an underwater settlement, but a genuine archaeological sensation, dating back approximately 5,000 years. Imagine streets preserved in such a state that you can easily visualize people walking along them, with buildings standing out against the turquoise sea. Research has shown that the city was meticulously planned. Streets intersected at right angles, and houses were aligned along them, creating a familiar structure for the ancient world. Archaeologists have found remnants of living quarters containing ceramic vessels and tools used in daily life, providing insight into the lives of its inhabitants. Among the most intriguing discoveries were the foundations of buildings, which have been preserved at depths of up to 3 meters underwater. But that's not all. Among the finds were also traces of trade, including rare seashells and other artifacts that indicate the city was a significant trading hub of its time. The question of what happened to this remarkable place is intriguing. Various theories exist about the causes of its submersion. Some scientists suggest it could have been due to powerful earthquakes that shook the region, while others believe the gradual rise in sea level played a decisive role in the city's flooding. Scientific research continues, and each new discovery adds new details to this mysterious story. Did you know? City of Pavlopetri is one of the oldest known underwater cities in the world, and its study may provide key answers to many questions about early civilizations and their interaction with their environment. In the southwestern region of Japan, around the island of Yonaguni, lies a mysterious underwater landscape that has sparked debate among scientists. Is it man-made or natural? Imagine stone structures with straight angles, platforms, and steps that seem to have been carved out of the rock. These formations have become the subject of heated debates. Proponents of the artificial origin theory argue that the geometric elements, such as clear lines and angles, could not have been formed solely by natural processes. They point to the presence of platforms that could have served as bases for ancient buildings, and steps that, in their view, indicate human use. According to their hypothesis, the structure could have been part of a submerged civilization, possibly connected to the myths of Atlantis. But the most intriguing aspect is that some of these proponents propose to conduct archaeological excavations to find artifacts that would confirm their theory. However, geologists present their own perspective, asserting that these forms could have resulted from natural processes such as erosion and underwater currents. They study the composition of the rock and the processes that could have led to the formation of such structures, citing examples from other natural formations worldwide. For instance, they have examples where similar formations appeared due to prolonged wave action, which supports their theory of natural origin. What is even more astonishing is that in some places, underwater constructions have the same distinctive lines as those on Yonaguni, but they formed without human intervention. This casts doubt on the arguments of those who support an anthropogenic origin. Research shows that some of these platforms could be ancient coral reefs that have been subjected to wave action and erosion. It is important to note that the structures are located at a depth of around 30 meters, making them difficult to access for research. But what is truly intriguing is that to this day, no one has been able to definitively confirm or refute what happened at this place, which is why it remains a focus of attention for both scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries. Moreover, some researchers suggest that if these structures are indeed man-made, they could revolutionize our understanding of human history. The sunken city of Heraklion, also known as Thonis, hid its secrets beneath the waves for more than 1,000 years until it was rediscovered in the early 2000s. This discovery was made possible by French underwater archaeologist Francis Lelou, who began exploring the waters off the coast of Egypt in 2001, where ancient texts indicated the location of this legendary port city. As a result of his work, remarkable artifacts were found, preserved monuments, temples, and even statues of pharaohs and gods that once adorned the streets of Heraklion. Imagine statues up to 5 meters tall, made of hard granite, with intricately detailed faces that still awe with their splendor despite the centuries. Additionally, underwater archaeologists discovered numerous sunken ships, believed to have transported goods from other countries, including rare spices and gold. But how did this important port city end up underwater? One of the most popular theories is a combination of earthquakes and sea level rise, which led to the destruction of the shoreline and the flooding of the city. Some researchers suggest that Heraklion could have been submerged due to a catastrophic flood caused by the disappearance of underground sources. However, this is not the end of the mystery. In addition to statues and temple ruins, gold was found, including gold coins that are believed to have been used for trade. These coins bear unique inscriptions that may shed light on the economy and culture of the time. Heraklion was not just an ordinary port. It played a crucial role in trade between Egypt and other countries such as Greece and Rome. Archaeological excavations also uncovered amphoras used for storing olive oil and wine, as well as everyday items that provide insight into the daily life of its inhabitants. But there's more. With each new dive by researchers, new artifacts are discovered, and the mysteries of Heraklion continue to captivate scholars. Notably, some buildings were constructed using unique technologies that modern builders still cannot accurately reproduce. What else does this underwater gem hide? Each new discovery only fuels the interest in Heraklion, and scientists are confident that its depths hold yet to be discovered secrets waiting to be revealed. Sunken ruins of Dwarka on the coast of India represent a true archaeological sensation. Underwater structures, estimated to be around 9,000 years old, have long forced scientists to rethink their understanding of the development of urban civilizations. These ruins, mentioned in the epic Mahabharata, are believed to be the site of the legendary city built by the god Krishna. Imagine this. Once here stood magnificent buildings. Now their remnants are covered by the waters of the Arabian Sea, creating a mysterious atmosphere filled with myths and mysteries. Archaeologists have discovered a meticulously planned geometric structure reminiscent of modern urban layouts, straight streets intersecting at right angles, and complex water channels that could have been used for the transportation of goods. What's most fascinating? These structures were built using stone blocks that fit perfectly together without the use of binding materials, indicating a high level of architectural knowledge among their creators. But that's not all. Experts believe these ruins may be linked to other ancient civilizations that once existed in India and beyond, opening new horizons for the study of ancient history. Research shows that Dwarka could have been a significant trading center through which maritime routes connected India with other regions such as Mesopotamia and Egypt. It's intriguing that some of the artifacts found, such as ceramics and jewelry, have similarities with findings in other cultural layers, challenging traditional chronologies of civilization development. Specialists continue to delve into the study of these underwater ruins, and with each new discovery, they edge closer to unraveling another mystery of the ancient world. Notably, some of the finds, such as figurines and other everyday items, indicate that the inhabitants of Dwarka possessed advanced skills in art and crafts, adding context to their daily lives. Discoveries in Dwarka not only immerse us in the life of the people who inhabited this enigmatic city, but also raise important questions about the interaction of various cultures in the early days of human civilization. The depths of the water still hold many secrets waiting to be revealed. The ocean depths conceal entire cities of sunken ships that have become underwater museums, narrating stories that could outshine any artistic creation. Each of these ships serves as a silent witness to historical events that took place on the surface. While time erodes many artifacts, the underwater conditions preserve them in their original state. Water, temperature, and the absence of light create ideal conditions for the conservation of wood, metal, and other materials, which is why many of these vessels remain untouched for centuries. Imagine a ship resting on the ocean floor, surrounded by marine creatures, shells, corals, and even rare fish that have found shelter there. These are not just the remains of a ship, but a library filled with information about navigation, trade, and the cultures of various peoples. Scientists and archaeologists, diving into these underwater worlds, uncover not only the structural features of the ships, but also their cargo, which often includes household items, tools, and even precious artifacts. Some of these finds can reveal trade routes that have been used for centuries, as goods from the most remote corners of the world can be found on the ocean floor, such as Eastern spices or amphorae with wine, which confirm the active connections between civilizations. But this is not the most astonishing. Many of these ships carry secrets of catastrophes caused by wars or natural disasters. Do you know that ships can lie on the ocean floor just a few kilometers from the shore, and their cargo remains untouched due to the characteristics of the seabed? These discoveries not only enrich our understanding of the past, but also raise many questions about how these ships ended up in their final resting places. Often, such research allows for the precise dating and circumstances of the sinking to be established, making them valuable for historians. For example, as a result of one such research, it was determined that some ships lost in battles carried traces of gunpowder, indicating their participation in naval battles. And here begins the truly fascinating part. Some of these underwater museums can reveal secrets that will change our view of entire historical epochs. Imagine that behind each sunken ship lie unsolved mysteries waiting to be discovered, and underwater archaeologists, like real detectives, work to decipher these codes. In the end, each of these ships is not just rusted remains, but living testimonies that carry stories capable of surprising even the most experienced researchers. The state of the sunken Titanic on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean evokes both awe and horror. The ship that once symbolized luxury and grandeur now lies at a depth of 1,320 meters, shrouded in darkness and cold. Its hull is gradually disintegrating under the influence of high pressures and low temperatures, but the main agents of destruction are bacteria and salts, which are waging an unrelenting battle against the remains of this colossal structure. For instance, specific bacteria known as Halomonas titanici feed on iron, and over the past decades, they have destroyed up to 30% of the ship's material, creating an effect of a rusty barrel, where parts of the ship literally crumble before our eyes. This discovery was a sensation for scientists and researchers, as it confirmed that life can exist even at such remote depths, altering the appearance of sunken objects. The story of the discovery of the Titanic is no less captivating. In 1985, Robert Ballard, an American oceanographer, stumbled upon the site of its sinking during a secret mission to locate American submarines. But this was just the beginning. Over the following years, extraordinary expeditions were sent to this location, each bringing new finds, from personal items of passengers to manuscripts and fragments of furniture that seemed to bring the history of this ship to life. Did you know that among the remarkable finds was even a deck of cards found on the seabed? These expeditions not only added details to the tragic history, but also raised important ethical questions about preserving this place as a maritime memorial. Each find sparks debate about what to do with these artifacts. Should they be returned to the surface, or left in place to respect the memory of the lost? Some researchers argue that removing items disrupts the peace and integrity of the site, while others believe they should be exhibited for education and awareness of the tragedy. This raises the question, how can we preserve the memory of events that changed the lives of millions, while also respecting those who remain on the ocean floor? These questions remain open, and each new report on the state of the Titanic sparks further debate among scientists and the public. And what is most astonishing? With each passing year, the condition of the ship becomes more fragile, and researchers are in a hurry to document its current state before it disappears forever. Laguna Truk, now known as Chuuk, harbors a true underwater treasure trove of history, with more than 60 Japanese ships resting on its seabed, sunk during Operation Hailstone. This operation, carried out in February 1944, was one of the largest aerial attacks of World War II. In just a few days, Allied forces destroyed nearly all the ships in the lagoon, including battleships, destroyers, and transport vessels. Imagine this: not only massive military ships, but also numerous aircraft that had fought in the Pacific Ocean, were brought to the bottom. The events of Operation Hailstone shook the Japanese Navy, and this part of the ocean became a kind of cemetery, where underwater reefs bore witness to the tragedy. What is truly shocking is how quickly nature began to restore this underwater world. Corals started to grow on the sunken ships, turning them into artificial reefs that became homes for many marine creatures. 80 years later, the Lagoon Truk attracts divers from around the world, eager to dive into history and see this underwater heritage firsthand. Diving here is not just a form of entertainment. It's an opportunity to touch history as you swim past the remains of ships covered in corals and feel the waves whispering about events that took place many years ago. The condition of these sunken ships varies. Some are well preserved, while others have been destroyed by time and marine conditions, but all of them hold secrets that divers strive to uncover. Did you know that some of these ships still contain ammunition and other dangerous materials? This makes diving in the lagoon not only exciting but also potentially hazardous. Additionally, the Lagoon Truk has become a hub for historians and researchers who study not only the ships themselves, but also the tactics used in Operation Hailstone to understand how this affected the course of the war. Some sunken ships, such as the aircraft carrier Shoho, have become true symbols, reminding us of how quickly a nation's fate can change. This underwater graveyard has become a major museum of World War II, where each dive becomes a history lesson, and divers can see how time and nature interact, creating unique ecosystems. And what is most fascinating is that each year, researchers discover new artifacts that help us understand how the sailors lived on these ships and what events preceded their demise. Lost in the waters of the Pacific Ocean, these remains still have much to tell, and each new diver contributes to this endless chronicle, opening up a world that many have never even imagined. The sunken ship Vasa has become a true symbol of Swedish maritime history. This warship, built in the early 17th century, sank just 30 minutes after its maiden voyage. Imagine, there were around 300 people on board, and most of them didn't even have time to realize what was happening. The main cause of the disaster was design flaws. Vasa was too tall and narrow, with an upper deck overloaded with heavy cannons. After the catastrophe, the ship lay at the bottom of the Baltic Sea for more than 300 years. The unique environment of the Baltic Sea, with its low salinity and cold temperatures, helped preserve Vasa, protecting the wood from destructive marine organisms. In 1961, a team of archaeologists led by Mikael Karlsson began the complex process of raising the ship. It's astonishing, but it took 3 years to complete the project. Using special lifting structures and airbags, researchers were able to raise Vasa to the surface, and then a real battle for its conservation began. The first step was to rinse the ship with fresh water to remove the salt water that could damage the wood. Then, the freezing process started, which helped preserve the wood structure and prevent it from cracking. Over the following decades, experts used various methods, including polymer injections, to reinforce the remaining parts of Vasa. Did you know that during the conservation process, approximately 30,000 liters of a special solution were used? This allowed the preservation of details such as the carvings on the deck, which continue to amaze museum visitors. As a result, Vasa was turned into a museum exhibit that attracts more than 1 million visitors each year. Now imagine this ship, which sank in silence, rising from the depths to tell its story to future generations. 80 years ago, in 1911, a group of divers exploring the seabed near the island of Antikythera made an extraordinary discovery, a sunken ship that became a treasure trove for archaeologists and historians. This ship, it appears, sank in the 1st century BC and carried an incredible cargo, bronze and marble statues, coins and ceramics that continue to amaze scholars with their diversity and richness. One of the most notable finds is a statue of a young man, 2 meters tall, which is believed to have depicted a god or hero from ancient mythology. But that's not all. Among the finds were thousands of coins, many of which were minted in various Greek cities, providing insight into the trade routes of the time. Furthermore, a mysterious mechanism was found in the ship's hold, known as the Antikythera mechanism. This device, consisting of more than 30 bronze gears, is considered the oldest analog computer ever discovered. The complexity and precision of this device are astonishing. Its mechanism allowed for the calculation of the positions of celestial bodies and the prediction of solar and lunar eclipses. What's even more astonishing is that this mechanism was so complex that its like did not exist until the Middle Ages. Researchers studying the Antikythera mechanism have concluded that it opened a new understanding of the technological capabilities of the ancient world, forcing a re-evaluation of what ancient Greek scientists were capable of. This discovery also sparked interest in other ancient technologies, such as water clocks and devices for determining time. It is worth noting that the mechanism itself was so sophisticated that its functions remained inaccessible to subsequent generations for nearly 2,000 years. 80% of the mechanisms found on this ship have not been fully studied, and each new discovery only underscores how deep and multifaceted ancient civilization was. Have you ever heard of ghost ships that vanish without a trace from human memory, leaving behind only mysterious legends and fears? Around the world, sailors pass down stories of vessels that sail without a crew, as if they are under a sea spell. These enigmatic phenomena, often occurring in stormy weather or thick fog, raise questions. How is this possible? Imagine standing on the deck and suddenly seeing the silhouette of a ship materializing out of nowhere, only to disappear just as abruptly. It is believed that such tales originate from the depths of human psychology, fear of the unknown, the desire to find an explanation for the inexplicable. In maritime culture, these legends serve as a warning that the sea holds not only adventures, but also dangers, which it is better to know about in advance. Ghost ships are shrouded in myths and folklore, inspiring both awe and trepidation, for they symbolize not only the lost crew, but also the entire tragedy of human fates. Each of these stories reflects the fear of loss, loneliness, and the inexplicable, for every sailor knows that the sea can take not only ships, but also lives. Sometimes sailors speak of ghost ships as symbols of abandoned hopes or unfulfilled dreams, giving them a special aura of mystique. But what is the truth behind these stories? One version suggests that most ghost ship sightings are linked to human consciousness, which in conditions of stress and fear can create images that have no basis in reality. In fog or at night, mesmerizing visions can be mistaken for real ships. Some researchers even connect these legends to historical events, floods, or naval battles that have left their mark on folk memory. It is interesting that in different cultures, there are their own interpretations of ghost ships, from the Spanish Flying Dutchman to the Japanese ghost ship, which serve not only as entertaining tales, but also as reflections of cultural fears and moral lessons. These stories stop time, making us ponder what lies beyond the visible world. And know this: sometimes, ghost ships at sea can be more than just a figment of imagination, but a warning left by those who once sailed its boundless expanses. In some legends, it is said that ghost ships appear on certain days when the moon is in a specific position, emphasizing the connection between the sky and the sea. The Flying Dutchman is one of the most famous ghost ships in world mythology, and its story dates back to the 17th century when sailors began telling tales of a mysterious vessel that defies the laws of nature. The legend tells of Captain Vanderdecken, who, attempting to sail around the Cape of Good Hope, encountered a storm and, in his defiance of nature's forces, was cursed. His ship was doomed to eternal wandering, neither finding rest on land nor at sea. Over the centuries, various versions of this story have emerged. In some, the captain was cursed for not heeding divine instructions, while in others, he was said to have challenged the devil himself. As a result, his crew and he himself became ghosts, forever roaming the oceans, leading to countless reports of encounters with the Flying Dutchman. Sailors claim to have seen the ship flickering in the mist or heard its haunting horn, heralding misfortune. These accounts of encounters with the ghost ship have formed the basis for many maritime tales and legends passed down through generations. Some believed that the Flying Dutchman appeared before those on the brink of disaster, as a harbinger of ill fate. The legend of Captain van der Decken not only took root in folklore, but also permeated literature, music, and cinema. For instance, the 18th century saw the emergence of plays and poems dedicated to this myth, while in the 19th century, composers like Richard Wagner were inspired to use this story in their works, such as his opera, The Flying Dutchman. Filmmakers have also explored this myth, from silent black and white films to modern blockbusters, creating an atmosphere of mystery and unease. This myth not only inspires artistic works, but also serves as a metaphor for despair and the struggle against fate, making it timeless in the human consciousness. Even today, with modern technology allowing us to explore the oceans, the story of the Flying Dutchman continues to stir the imagination, and sailors still whisper about the ghost ship that may one day reappear on the horizon. In some regions, there are even traditions and rituals associated with avoiding encounters with this ship, demonstrating the deep influence of the legend on seafaring culture and thought. It is interesting to note that the Flying Dutchman has become so popular that its image can be found not only in literature and music, but also in video games and comics, underscoring its universality and significance in different cultural contexts. In November of 1872, a ship named Maria Celeste was discovered in the Atlantic Ocean, becoming a symbol of one of the most mysterious maritime stories in history. At first glance, it seemed as if the ship had been left only for a moment. Everything appeared perfect, as if the crew were about to return at any moment. However, the shocking fact was that the crew of 7 people had vanished without a trace. The ship, which was traveling from New York to Genoa, was found drifting off the coast of the Azores, and its condition raised many questions. A table was set on the deck with remnants of food, and the cabins contained personal belongings of the sailors, including clothing and even money. But the most puzzling aspect was that the lifeboat, which should have been on board, was missing, casting doubt on many theories of the events. How could this have happened? Some researchers suggested that the ship had fallen victim to a pirate attack, but there were no signs of a violent takeover. Other theories included poisoning by alcohol fumes, as Maria Celeste was carrying 36 barrels of alcohol that could release toxic vapors. But what was truly shocking was that even if this were the case, how could the crew have left the ship in such perfect condition? Some researchers proposed that the crew might have encountered a sudden and severe storm that forced them to abandon the ship, but in that case, it would have been logical to take the lifeboat with them. Soon after the discovery of Maria Celeste, it was subjected to more detailed investigation, and experts noticed that there was no water on board. The tap was closed, which also raised questions. Over the years, various theories about what happened to the crew continued to emerge, including ideas about a mutiny or even that they might have been victims of psychosis due to the conditions on board. In the end, Maria Celeste was returned to port, but its mystery remained unsolved. And you know what's really crazy? The ship was sold for $2,000, while its true value lay in the mystery it left behind. The schooner Carroll A. Daring became a true enigma in the history of navigation when it was discovered off the coast of North Carolina in 1921. Imagine this, a ship that was completely empty, without a crew, yet in perfect condition. The last known contacts with the vessel occurred a few days before its discovery, when the crew reported a severe storm, but mentioned no problems. When the Coast Guard investigated Carroll A. Daring, they found that the ship had been abandoned, with personal belongings, including food, left on board, but no trace of the crew. Soon after its discovery, a massive investigation was launched by the U.S. government, drawing attention to this unusual event. Local fishermen and sailors were questioned, but none could explain what happened to the crew. Meanwhile, theories began to emerge, ranging from a mutiny to piracy. Some researchers even suggested a connection to the Bermuda Triangle, a place known for its mysterious disappearances. Picture this: no trace of the crew, but food and personal items remained on board, as if they had vanished into thin air. During the investigation, several clues were found that only added to the mystery. ominous graffiti on the walls, and signs of strange events that might have occurred on the ship. One version claimed that the crew could have been victims of a mysterious disease or psychosis, but none of these scenarios were confirmed. The ship became a topic of discussion among both scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries, who tried to unravel the enigma of its disappearance. But that's not all. In 1923, when Carol A. Daring was finally thoroughly examined, the crew made a shocking discovery. Traces were found that could belong to people, but they did not match the identities of the crew members. How is this possible? This detail only added fuel to the fire, further intriguing people about this mysterious ship. And here's what's even more shocking. Researchers have still not been able to determine the fate of the crew and the mystery of Carol A. Daring continues to captivate people's minds to this day. In 2007, a yacht named Scottsville was discovered off the coast of Australia, completely abandoned and with no trace of its crew. Imagine a house-sized yacht adrift in the middle of the ocean, with no apparent explanation for how it got there. How could this have happened? Local media immediately filled the story with mystical speculation, from ghostly sailors to lost mariners. However, the reality was much more mundane. Investigations revealed that the yacht lost control due to a severe storm, and the crew likely couldn't return to the ship due to dangerous weather conditions, leaving it to drift unmanned. But this is just one of the many mysteries surrounding abandoned vessels. What is even more intriguing is the recent appearance of North Korean ghost ships off the coast of Japan, causing a real stir among local residents. These ships, often with damaged hulls and empty holds, sometimes contain remnants of life, food scraps, personal belongings, and even fragments of documents. Initially, this seemed like a fantastical scenario, but it is actually explained by real circumstances. Many North Korean fishermen, navigating treacherous waters, face the risk of losing their vessels due to poor conditions or technical malfunctions. However, there are also mysterious legends. Some Japanese people believe these ships are omens of misfortune, and here begins a real battle of reason. Scientific research shows that most of these ships are simply washed ashore, but local legends give them an aura of mystery. Why do so many people choose to believe in the supernatural when facts point to something else? The enigma of these ghostly ships continues to captivate attention, and each new discovery adds fuel to the fire of curiosity. For example, in 2020, Japan recorded over 30 such incidents, each with its own story. But what is most shocking? Some of these ghost ships turned out to be vessels lost due to illegal fishing and resold to multiple owners before ending up in a state of disrepair. Each of these discoveries underscores how easily people can create myths when facts are not sufficiently engaging. These stories continue to live their own lives, and each new discovery can be not only a result of human error, but also a real-life lesson about how we perceive reality. Marine monsters are not just characters from myths and legends. They are a reflection of human fear of the unknown. Imagine the depths of the ocean where light does not penetrate, and the temperature drops to 0 degrees Celsius. It is there, in the darkness, that mysteries lie, which humanity has been trying to unravel for centuries. Who has not heard of terrifying creatures that can drag a ship into their cold embrace? The unknown of the underwater world gives rise to images that both frighten and awe, and these images continue to evolve with each new discovery. Did you know that 95% of the ocean remains unexplored? This means that vast spaces, teeming with potential monsters, await their turn. Each discovery of new marine organisms, such as transparent jellyfish or bioluminescent deep-sea fish, fuels the fire of human imagination. But this is not all. Many of these forms of life possess such strange and unusual features that even scientists cannot explain their existence. Once, while studying reefs, scientists found sea worms up to 30 meters long that can transform into real predators in a matter of seconds. But imagine this is just the tip of the iceberg. In ancient cultures, the sea was associated with gods and spirits that could both protect and punish. Throughout history, images like Cthulhu or Calypso have become symbols of how fear and awe intertwine in our perception of the marine depths. Folklore of many nations is filled with stories of sailors encountering monsters, and these tales have been passed down through generations, shaping collective consciousness. What is truly shocking is that modern cryptozoologists, exploring the depths of the sea in search of elusive creatures, have already discovered over 100 species that were once considered mythical. These discoveries make us question what we know about our world. If you think all marine species are known, think again. In 2020 alone, more than 30 new deep-sea fish species were registered, about which no one had ever heard. This ongoing game between myth and reality continues to captivate the mind and imagination, prompting us to ask, what else is hidden in the dark depths of the ocean? What mysteries await discovery? And did you know that every year scientists discover around 1,000 new marine organisms? Imagine a sea teeming with mysterious creatures, where a giant squid lurks in the depths, waiting for its prey. Kraken, the archetypal sea monster, emerged from Scandinavian legends, where it was described as a monster with tentacles capable of tearing a ship apart. These myths date back to the 13th century, when Scandinavian sailors told tales of giant creatures inhabiting the waters of Norway and Iceland, and frightened each other with stories of how Kraken could ensnare careless ships in its tentacles. What is remarkable, however, is that the term Kraken first appeared in literature in the 18th century when Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus described this monster in his works, although he did not know that it was just one of many reflections of myths. Over time, the image of Kraken evolved. Starting in the 19th century, researchers began to link legends with real marine creatures, such as the giant squid, which can reach up to 7 meters in size and truly exists in the oceans. In the 18th century, when Jules Verne published his novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Kraken became more than just a myth. It became a symbol of human fear of the unknown. Verne described the encounter with this monster in such detail that readers could feel his horror as if they were diving into the abyss. Now imagine that with each new discovery of the ocean's depths, Kraken is given new life. In the early 20th century, when scientists began to study deep-sea ecosystems, they began to find evidence of the existence of giant squids, which, as it was believed, inspired the legends of Kraken. In the 21st century, Kraken continues to live in popular culture, appearing in films such as Pirates of the Caribbean, where its image is enhanced with modern visual effects, making it even more terrifying. But did you know that in some cultures, Kraken has become a symbol of protection? For example, in Japan, the legend of the giant octopus is also associated with places where sailors found shelter. And here is where it gets really strange. Kraken not only frightens, but also inspires artists, writers, and filmmakers around the world. In art, it becomes a metaphor for exploring human nature and confronting the unknown. It is interesting that even today, when we think we understand the ocean, Kraken remains a mystery. Scientists continue to discover new marine species, which can be both real and mythical. For example, in 2020, a new species of squid was found living at a depth of more than 3 kilometers, which amazed with its unique shape and colors. Each new discovery raises the question, could Kraken be closer than we think? The Loch Ness Monster, perhaps the most famous cryptid of modern times, has become a true symbol of Scotland. The first reports of its existence date back to the 6th century, when St. Columba described an encounter with a mysterious creature in Loch Ness. However, the real sensation occurred in 1934 when the famous surgeon's photograph was taken, which later turned out to be a hoax. This photograph depicted something resembling a giant sea lizard, sparking intense debates and prompting numerous expeditions. Since then, scientists and adventurers have been systematically exploring the lake using sonar and underwater cameras. In 1993, a large-scale operation called Operation Deception was conducted, covering over 30 kilometers of the lake's surface and bottom, but no concrete evidence of the monster's existence was found. Nevertheless, theories about the possible nature of the sightings continue to multiply. Some researchers suggest that witnesses may have seen long eels, local fish, or even submerged trees that created optical illusions. More exotic theories include ideas about prehistoric reptiles that somehow survived, remaining undetected in the depths of Loch Ness. The cultural significance of Nessie for Scotland is hard to overestimate. It has become not only a tourist attraction, but also a symbol of Scottish folklore. Every year, thousands of tourists visit this region in the hope of catching even the slightest hint of the monster's existence. For example, in 1986, the Loch Ness exhibition was founded, where artifacts related to the legend are displayed, and even a coin was minted in honor of the monster. What is truly remarkable is that Loch Ness contains enormous volumes of water, over 7 billion cubic meters, and its depth reaches 260 meters. These impressive dimensions make Loch Ness an ideal place for a mysterious inhabitant to hide from human eyes. Imagine you are on a ship in the open sea, and suddenly someone shouts, "Sea monster!" Such cries were heard from sailors in the 18th and 19th centuries when they recounted their encounters with sea serpents, mysterious creatures that both fascinated and terrified them. One of the most famous incidents occurred in 1848 when the captain of the HMS Daedalus, observing the horizon, spotted a long, serpent-like creature swimming near their vessel. His description spoke of a creature with a length of around 30 meters and clearly defined fins that sparkled in the sunlight. What is truly intriguing is that the captain's report was not the only one, and similar sightings were recorded throughout the centuries. In the 1730s, sailors on board the ship Leviathan reported encounters with similar serpents that waved like waves and glowed like candles. Have you ever wondered what the sailors might have seen? Some scientists suggest that they could have observed rare fish species, such as sharp-nosed sharks or giant eels, which, when stressed, could appear as mythical monsters. But that's not all. In other cases, when sailors described sea serpents, their accounts matched known optical illusions, such as fata morgana, which create deceptive images on the horizon, sometimes making one see a creature that does not exist. However, there are even more shocking theories. Some researchers claim that sailors could have observed sea serpents that went extinct hundreds of millions of years ago, but somehow managed to survive to our time. Imagine being a witness to a creature that could rival the largest dinosaur in size and shape. It is worth noting that many of these descriptions were recorded in ship logs, which became the basis for numerous myths about sea monsters. In 1899, the captain of another ship, Sirens, recorded an encounter with a serpent of about 25 meters in length with several rows of teeth like a shark. This incident became the basis for numerous discussions and hypotheses about whether sailors really saw these creatures. And the craziest part? Some researchers still search for evidence of the existence of these mysterious creatures, believing that the ocean may hide more secrets than we can imagine. In the year 1938, something extraordinary happened in the waters off the coast of southern Africa. A fish that had been considered extinct for over 60 million years resurfaced. Imagine the shock of researchers when they discovered that a coelacanth, a living fossil, had been caught by local fishermen near the island of Mozambique. This fish, which had remained unchanged for millions of years, looked as if it had stepped out of a prehistoric book. The appearance of the coelacanth, with its large fins and distinctive body, immediately sparked a flurry of emotions among scientists. As they studied it, they realized that coelacanths belonged to a separate class of fish with ancestors that lived during the age of dinosaurs. The most astonishing thing? The scientific community initially did not believe that it was indeed a coelacanth and demanded proof. Only after renowned zoologist Dr. Jacob Peters was able to examine the samples did confirmation come: coelacanths do indeed live among us. This discovery sparked a wave of research, as its existence challenged many theories about the extinction of species and evolution. How is this possible? The answer lies in the fact that coelacanths could have survived thanks to their unique ability to adapt to their environment. While most marine biologists believed that all species like the coelacanth had disappeared, this species continued to evolve in the depths of the ocean. But that's not all. Research on coelacanths has given scientists insight into how life on Earth could have developed and adapted to conditions we can barely imagine. Each coelacanth specimen has become a living testament to the fact that the depths of the ocean still hide unsolved mysteries waiting to be discovered. And even decades after the first discovery, scientists continue to find coelacanths in various regions of the Indian Ocean, confirming that these fish are not just remnants of the past, but true inhabitants of the present. Scientific research continues to show that coelacanths may possess remarkable tissue regeneration abilities, opening new doors for medical research. Isn't that intriguing? The ocean is filled with mysterious sounds that create a unique symphony of the underwater world. Imagine the sound of the surf, like music rolling onto the shore, and the calls of whales that can be heard for kilometers. These sounds are not just background noise. They carry information about the life, interactions, and even emotions of the inhabitants of the deep sea. Each sound we hear can tell a story about what is happening underwater. Remarkably, some researchers claim that underwater sounds can reach levels of 150 decibels, equivalent to the sound of a jet engine, and this is just a few meters from the source. But that's not all. Hydrophones placed around the world record mysterious sound phenomena whose origins remain unclear. These sounds sometimes resemble whistles, crackles, or even low-frequency hums that raise many questions among scientists. How do they arise? Isn't it intriguing? For instance, some of the loudest sounds ever recorded in the ocean were called bloop, and their source has not been found yet. There are speculations that they could be underwater waves or even phenomena related to ice, but a precise answer is lacking. It's astonishing that even ordinary sounds, like the rubbing of sand on the bottom, can create a range of frequencies that different marine animals perceive differently. This raises the question, how do ocean inhabitants use these sounds for communication and spatial orientation? Research shows that some fish species can perceive sounds at frequencies above 1,000 Hz, making their hearing more sensitive than that of most mammals. But that's not the most amazing part. There are sounds that humans have never heard, and only recently have scientists begun to record them, opening new horizons for the study of underwater acoustics. For example, in the 21st century, sounds were recorded that could indicate the presence of unknown marine species. What are these creatures? Answers may be closer than we think, as the ocean holds many secrets waiting to be revealed. Each new sound recorded by a hydrophone can be a key to solving the mysteries of the deep. The sound of Bard. This is a sound that makes scientists speculate and theorize. Recorded in 1997, this unexplained acoustic phenomenon stunned researchers with its extraordinarily low frequency, reaching only 14 Hz, making it difficult for the human ear to perceive. Its amplitude was so great that sensors installed at a depth of 3,000 meters detected it with such force that the sound literally shattered conventional notions of underwater acoustics. Now imagine this. This sound was recorded in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean, near the island of Midway, in an area where, seemingly, nothing could have produced it. But that's not all. Some researchers suggest that the sound could have been caused by an unknown type of whale that emits such low frequencies to communicate over long distances, similar to how dolphins use their complex signals. Others believe the sound source could be geological, such as a submarine volcanic eruption capable of generating such powerful sound waves. But what's even more astonishing, scientists still haven't reached a consensus on the nature of this phenomenon, and each new study opens up more theories. Some even propose that it could be a result of tectonic plate interactions, opening a new chapter in the study of ocean sounds. The vast expanses of the ocean continue to harbor their mysteries, and the sound of Bard is just one of many enigmas waiting to be unraveled. With each new study of sound waves recorded in various ocean points, we inch closer to the solution, but for now, there are still many questions about what else might be hidden in the depths. In 1999, an enigmatic sound was recorded in the Pacific Ocean, known as the Julia's whistle. This unique acoustic phenomenon sounds like a long, sustained whistle, lasting about 20 seconds and repeating approximately every 8 minutes. What is astonishing is that its frequency ranges from 30 to 130 Hz, making it distinctly different from the sounds produced by known marine creatures. Research has shown that Julia's whistle does not correspond to the sounds made by whales, dolphins, or even other biological sources that typically emit sounds in higher frequency ranges. The sound is so clear and regular that many scientists have begun to propose theories about its possible origin. One of the most discussed theories is that it could be the result of underwater volcanic activities creating specific acoustic waves. Imagine underwater eruptions that might produce such sounds, reaching the surface and creating this unique whistle. Some researchers even suggested that Julia's whistle could be caused by the movement of tectonic plates shaking the ocean floor, generating vibrations that could produce such inaudible sounds. But that's not all. The mystery lies in the fact that this sound continues to this day, being detected by hydrophones all over the ocean. It seems to persistently refuse to reveal its secrets. 8 minutes of silence, and then the whistle again, as if something is calling from the depths. What is even more astonishing is that some scientists suggest that Julia's whistle might be connected to unexplained phenomena such as deep ocean currents or even unknown marine creatures that have not yet been discovered. Each new report of its detection only adds more questions. What or who is behind this strange sound? One thing is clear. Julia's whistle remains one of the most mysterious sounds of the Pacific Ocean, and its origin remains unexplained. The uplift signal, recorded in the Indian Ocean, has become a real mystery for scientists and researchers. This sound, captured in 1997, is characterized by a rapid increase in frequency, starting from low tones and reaching a peak frequency of around 80 Hz in just a few minutes. This distinctive scream remained unexplained for a long time. It lasted about 2 minutes and was recorded using underwater microphones placed at depths of over 3,000 meters. Geographically, the signal was detected in the eastern part of the Indian Ocean, in an area where tectonic plates are actively interacting, causing strong seismic phenomena. One of the theories about the origin of this sound is seismic activity. It could have been caused by an underwater earthquake or volcanic eruption, but no significant seismic events were recorded at that time. But that's not the most peculiar part. Scientists also propose the hypothesis that the sound could have come from unknown deep-sea creatures living at great depths, where pressure reaches incredible levels. Some researchers suggest that it could be sounds produced by large marine mammals, such as whales or dolphins, but none of them can generate a sound of such frequency and duration. And here's where it gets really strange. In some circles, there are even discussions about a possible connection to unknown underwater phenomena or even to human technological activity, despite the absence of any known sound sources in this region. What's even more astonishing, the uplift signal was registered simultaneously on several underwater stations, which rules out the possibility of a local source. This opens up new avenues for research and makes us think about what else might be hidden in the depths of the ocean, waiting to be discovered. And some specialists even suggest that such sounds could be significant for understanding the processes occurring in the Earth's interior, possibly signaling that we still don't know everything about our world. Humpback whales produce sounds that can be compared to genuine musical compositions. Their songs can last from 10 minutes to half an hour, and the length of a single melody can reach 90 minutes. These compositions are not only beautiful but also complex, consisting of various structural elements that vary depending on the region. Each population of humpback whales, whether off the coast of Hawaii or the southern waters of Australia, has its own dialects, which are passed down from generation to generation. Did you know that these dialects change over time? For example, researchers have found that melodies that were popular among whales in one year can significantly change over a few seasons, indicating cultural evolution in their society. Now imagine that the sounds produced by these giants can travel up to 30 kilometers underwater. This is possible thanks to the unique properties of seawater, which effectively conducts sound waves, allowing whales to communicate over vast distances. In the depths of the ocean, where light does not penetrate, sound becomes the primary means of interaction between these creatures. Scientists suggest that these vocalizations can serve multiple functions, from mating rituals, where males demonstrate their strength and attractiveness, to the transmission of cultural information, such as the location of food or dangers lurking in the open ocean. Moreover, some research shows that humpback whales can use their songs to mark territories, making them not only capable of communication but also strategic players in their ecosystem. It is interesting that certain melodies can attract not only females but also other males, creating a kind of musical competition among whales. This opens new horizons for understanding the behavior of these animals, and scientists continue to study how their vocalizations can influence social structures and group dynamics. Remember that humpback whales are capable of learning and mimicry, making their songs even more mysterious and intriguing. Some of them can adapt their sounds to mimic other marine sounds, thus expanding their musical repertoires. What else might they be hiding in their musical talents? Deep-sea anomalies cause surprise and bewilderment among scientists, as they represent mysterious phenomena that contradict our understanding of ocean depths. Imagine, beneath the water's surface, where light barely penetrates, there exist structures and sounds that can even shock seasoned researchers. Over the past decades, thanks to modern technologies such as underwater drones and highly sensitive hydrophones, anomalies have been discovered that sometimes appear as strange vibrations or unusual shapes, defying explanation. Do you know that some of these signals originate from depths exceeding 3,000 meters, where pressure exceeds 30 atmospheres? This means that any explanation must take into account the extreme conditions prevailing in this abyss. Note that each such anomaly can occur in places where, seemingly, nothing extraordinary should happen. Yet, it is precisely here that strange sounds, reminiscent of rustling or even melodies, are recorded, raising many questions. What could be creating such sounds if no known creature can survive these conditions? It is interesting that some of these anomalies are observed in areas where no active processes were previously recorded. For example, in zones with no volcanic activity, sudden changes in temperature or even the chemical composition of water occur, further confounding researchers. But that's not all. Some underwater anomalies are of size comparable to skyscrapers, and their origin remains unclear. Research indicates that these places may harbor mysterious formations that raise more questions than answers. Do you know that in some cases, scientists have recorded spontaneous changes in water density, occurring without any apparent cause? These anomalies may indicate the existence of processes of which humanity is not even aware. In one instance, a change in the magnetic field was even registered, raising questions about possible connections between these strange events. Some researchers suggest that this could be related to geological processes occurring in the Earth's interior, which are beyond our reach. But perhaps these anomalies are just the tip of the iceberg of the mysteries hidden in the depths of the oceans. There is evidence that underwater anomalies can affect marine life, causing them to change their behavior. What do you think will happen if such anomalies continue to appear? As technology advances, it becomes increasingly clear that we are only beginning to understand the complex interactions taking place in the most remote corners of our planet. The underwater world is full of secrets, and each new discovery only fuels our curiosity. And do you know what is most astonishing? Some researchers believe that these anomalies may hold the key to understanding not only the oceans, but the entire planet. The discovery of the Baltic anomaly in 2011 became a major event in the world of science. A circular object located on the bottom of the Baltic Sea sparked heated debates and controversies among scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries. This mysterious object has a diameter of about 100 meters, and its shape indeed resembles the Death Star from Star Wars. Its perfectly smooth surface contrasts with the surrounding seabed, covered with rocks and sand. But what is truly shocking is that strange tracks lead to this anomaly, as if created by some enormous machine, leaving deep furrows on the ocean floor. These tracks, up to 30 meters long, raise many questions. How and when were they formed? Researchers and expedition participants report unusual anomalies in the operation of electrical equipment near the object. Devices malfunction and compasses behave strangely, pointing towards the anomaly. What is going on? Scientific instruments, which should work flawlessly, start to malfunction, adding more mystery to this already intriguing object. Scientists are divided into two camps. Some claim it is a natural formation, possibly a result of geological processes, while others insist that the object has an artificial origin, challenging traditional views of our world. There are theories that it might be a sunken ship, or even an alien spacecraft left here many years ago. But if you think all this is already strange enough, here's another fact. Some researchers claim that unusual electromagnetic fields are observed around the anomaly, which could indicate the presence of technologies that we cannot yet explain. This object has become a real enigma that continues to generate interest and controversy among the scientific community. And the most shocking thing? Different research teams return to the Baltic anomaly again and again, each time bringing new data that only deepens the mystery of this enigmatic object. At a depth of around 700 meters off the coast of Cuba lies a mysterious structure known as the Cuban Underwater Pyramid. Imagine geometrically precise forms that resemble urban planning, straight lines, angles, and even direct roads. These underwater formations are astonishing and have led many scientists to question whether they could have been created by humans. It's hard to imagine such structures existing at a time when, according to most historians, humanity was just beginning to settle the land. But that's not the most peculiar thing. Some researchers suggest that these structures may be thousands of years old and could be remnants of a forgotten civilization. But what was the secret behind their creation? The answer may lie in the challenges of research, compounded by the political situation in Cuba. Due to restricted access to these waters, scientists face enormous difficulties in conducting research. Key expeditions, such as the team led by renowned researcher Peter Munn, encounter obstacles that hinder a deeper understanding of these formations. Now, imagine that the results of underwater research sometimes contradict each other, further fueling debates among scientists. Some claim these are natural formations, while others insist on their artificial origin. And what's most intriguing? One hypothesis suggests that the Cuban underwater pyramid could have been part of a vast system that once connected different land areas. But that's not all. Research indicates that these waters contain not only pyramid-like structures, but also platforms and staircases. How could they have formed at such great depths? The answer to this question remains a mystery, and scientists continue to search for evidence to support their theories. Is this just a natural phenomenon? Or are there traces of long-forgotten civilizations that could rewrite our understanding of human history? The underwater monuments off the island of Yonaguni have been a source of controversy for many years. Imagine vast structures with right angles and stepped forms stretching out for tens of meters underwater. Some researchers claim these are ruins of an ancient civilization dating back 10 to 12,000 years, while others insist they are the result of natural sandstone erosion. Upon examining these formations, one can notice that they resemble platforms and presumed columns, as if someone had attempted to create something artificial. Geologists argue that such forms could have emerged due to natural processes like waves and currents acting on soft rocks. However, how can one explain such clear and symmetrical lines, which are difficult to imagine as the result of random natural forces? Each corner of this underwater complex seems too precise to have been created without human intervention. Some fragments resemble steps leading to infinity, giving the impression that this place was once part of something larger. How could this have happened? The answer lies in the unique characteristics of the region. Yonaguni is located at the boundary of tectonic plates, creating conditions for the formation of stone structures. But this is not all. Researchers have analyzed local legends that speak of ancient sailors and sunken cities. These stories might just be myths, but they spark interest and raise questions about what really happened in this area. Archaeologists point to possible signs of stone processing, which could support their theory of a civilization capable of building such complex structures. They emphasize that such constructions could not have emerged randomly, and every detail, from width to angles, indicates a high degree of skill and planning. Interestingly, in this context, scientific research is not the only thing that emerges. There are also numerous speculations about possible relationships between different cultures that may have existed on Earth at that time. Some even suggest that these monuments could be connected to other famous ancient structures, such as the pyramids of Egypt or the megaliths of Britain. Each new analysis and discovery adds fuel to the fire. And the most intriguing aspect is that research shows that the underwater landscape of Yonaguni may be much larger than we thought, with still unexplored areas waiting to be discovered. The ocean floor may hide secrets that will forever change our understanding of human history. Imagine a world submerged millions of years ago, where communities once thrived, hunting large mammals and gathering wild plants. This was Doggerland, a Mesolithic land submerged in the North Sea, which served as a land bridge between Britain and continental Europe until around 6,500 years ago. Research indicates that this vast area, spanning 300,000 square kilometers, was home to dense forests, hills, and rivers, with a climate much warmer than today's. Did you know that in this region, archaeologists have discovered tools such as arrowheads and stone axes found in fishing nets? These finds offer insights into how ancient people adapted to their environment, utilizing the resources nature provided. But there's more. In the remains of animals found on the ocean floor, scientists have discovered remnants of mammoths and large deer, indicating that Doggerland was home to diverse wildlife. Through detailed analysis of geological layers and paleobotanical data, researchers have been able to reconstruct the landscape and climatic conditions of this submerged land. It turns out that the sea level gradually rose, inundating vast areas, and eventually, these lands disappeared beneath the waves. But what was the state of this land before it was submerged? Scientists describe it as a fertile paradise with rich flora and fauna, where ancient people could gather berries and hunt wild animals. Furthermore, radiocarbon dating results show that the last remnants of Doggerland disappeared around 2,500 years before our era, when the sea level reached a critical point. And the most astonishing thing? The bottom of the North Sea may not only hide artifacts, but entire settlements waiting to be discovered. Oceanic trenches are mysterious formations on the ocean floor that suddenly plunge into the abyss, creating the impression that they lead to another world. Imagine a pit up to 8 kilometers deep, comparable to the height of several Eiffel Towers, where pressure reaches such levels that even the most robust materials begin to yield. These trenches can form due to various reasons, including geological processes such as landslides or underwater volcanic eruptions, but their exact origin is often shrouded in mystery. Did you know that in some cases these formations can have a diameter of more than 100 kilometers? It's as if a chasm capable of swallowing an entire city has appeared in the ocean. Scientific research shows that such trenches can be home to unique ecosystems where organisms capable of surviving conditions that seem utterly inhospitable to most life forms thrive. Their discovery has been a revelation for researchers trying to understand how life can exist at such depths, where sunlight is absent and temperatures reach critical levels. But that's not the most astonishing part. Some scientists suggest that these trenches might serve as portals for studying other aspects of the planet, such as underwater rivers or even other parts of the ocean, fundamentally changing our understanding of underwater geography. And that's where things get really strange. In some trenches, unusual minerals have been found that do not exist on the Earth's surface, and their composition could reveal the secrets of the planet's formation. If you thought that was amazing, wait for this. Geologists have noticed that in areas where trenches are located, unusual phenomena occur, such as powerful underwater earthquakes that can trigger tsunamis. This raises questions about the impact of these formations on the climate and ecosystems around them. And the most bizarre thing? In some cases, legends have emerged about black holes of the ocean, where ships and airplanes have disappeared, further fueling the myths about these mysterious places. Trenches can be more than just a geological curiosity. They are also objects of study for mythology and human psychology, as fear of the unknown has always been a part of our existence. Let's imagine what such places might look like: dark water descending into an endless chasm, and darkness hiding unknown secrets. Each time researchers descend to the ocean floor, they uncover new horizons, and this only intensifies the interest in what else might be hidden in these depths. Have you ever wondered what secrets oceanic trenches hold and what might lie at the bottom of such abysses? Imagine a colossal funnel with a diameter of 318 meters and a depth of 124 meters. This is the Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize, one of the most famous natural formations on the planet. It formed over thousands of years when sea levels were significantly lower, and a cave was created by karst processes. However, with the warming of the climate and the rise of ocean levels, this cave was flooded, transforming into an enthralling funnel with vibrant blue water that contrasts with the turquoise hues around it. Now imagine this: the deepest part of the funnel has almost black water, while the surface shimmers like an emerald. The complex stratification of the water here is astonishing. The oxygen content varies at different depths, creating unique conditions for its inhabitants. In the upper layer, you can see many colorful fish like reef fish and barracudas, while at greater depths, unusual creatures like sharks and moray eels prefer the dark and cold waters. Did you know that it is precisely due to this extraordinary biosphere and unique living conditions that the Great Blue Hole was included in the UNESCO World Heritage List? This place has become a mecca for divers from around the world. Each year, thousands of underwater adventure enthusiasts strive to explore its depths, marveling at the beauty of the coral reefs and the diversity of marine life. And when you dive deep, you feel the cold water embracing you, and around you, clouds of colorful fish rise. In the center of this funnel, you can see sharp stalactites that create the effect of an underwater cathedral, and this is mesmerizing. Few people know that scientists continue to explore this area, hoping to find answers to the question, what were the climatic changes in the past, and how did they affect the marine ecosystem? Each new research project brings new discoveries, and in this place, exciting finds continue. For example, in 2017, a team of scientists discovered here the remains of prehistoric creatures that once inhabited these waters. But there are still many mysteries hidden in this deep blue ocean, and who knows what discoveries await us in the future. The Blue Hole of Dahab, located on the coast of Egypt, evokes shock and awe among divers from around the world. Its depth reaches 100 meters, and it has become known as the Killer Hole due to numerous tragic incidents. Imagine a submerged world where a complex structure forms an arched passage at depths ranging from 50 to 55 meters. Divers who dare to pass through it encounter underwater currents that can sweep them away into the unknown. More than 200 divers have perished here, and the number continues to rise. How is this possible in such a picturesque place? The cause lies in the high risks associated with diving. Nitrogen narcosis can shut down the mind and perception, turning an experienced diver into a novice who loses orientation and cannot handle the situation. Furthermore, not everyone can cope with the strong currents that can suddenly change, leaving divers with no chance of returning. The walls of the Blue Hole are vertical cliffs that create the effect of an abyss, and even the most experienced divers risk losing control. Some divers descend to depths beyond the safe limits, which can lead to serious consequences, including decompression sickness. Diving in this place requires the highest level of qualification. Deep dives, correct breathing techniques, and precise route planning become crucial factors for survival. Inexperienced divers seeking an adrenaline rush often underestimate the situation, and this is what leads to unfortunate outcomes. Now imagine that the underwater world here is not only filled with the beauty of coral reefs, but also with dark mysteries hidden in the depths. It's frightening to think that each dive could be the last, especially in conditions where underwater currents can change direction with terrifying speed. For those who still decide to dive, it is important to remember the need for thorough preparation and adherence to all safety measures. Every meter at depth becomes a test of endurance. It is interesting to note that the depth of the blue hole is 100 meters, but at a depth of around 60 meters, there is a platform, a natural section where divers can stop and assess the situation before continuing the dive. But this is not all. There are many other diving spots that can offer no less exciting experiences. The underwater caves of Yucatan are something completely unique, and their formation is linked to extraordinary geological processes. Imagine this. Limestone vaults, up to 30 meters high, collapse, creating enormous sinkholes, natural wells that connect with underground rivers. These rivers, stretching for hundreds of kilometers, form a complex network of tunnels that have only been explored by the bravest divers. The crystal-clear water in the sinkholes has such clarity that you can see up to 20 meters deep, and the water temperature fluctuates within the range of 24 degrees Celsius, ideal conditions for underwater research. But that's not all. The sinkholes played a sacred role for the Maya civilization, serving as portals to the underworld. In these waters, archaeologists find offerings left by the Maya for the gods, golden artifacts, ceramics, and even human remains. What's even more shocking? It is believed that some of these offerings were made to appease the gods or to curry favor before important events, such as wars or droughts. The sinkholes not only served as water sources, but were also sites of rituals where it was believed that the souls of the dead could travel to the afterlife. Interestingly, some caves were so sacred that only priests had access to them. In one of the caves, a ritual altar and the remains of sacrifices were found, dating back approximately 1,000 years before our era. But this is not just historical fact. The underwater caves of Yucatan remain a mystery for scientists, as the total number of known sinkholes exceeds 3,000, and each one could hide secrets waiting to be discovered. Imagine how large animals like megalodons could have swum in these underground waters, and how ancient creatures could have lived here, leaving their traces in the form of fossils. The secrets that these caves hold could change our understanding not only of the Maya, but of human history as a whole. Imagine a world beneath the waves, where the extent of a cave system exceeds 350 kilometers. This is Sac Actun on the Yucatan Peninsula, the longest flooded cave system in the world. Here, beneath the water, stalactites and stalagmites, formed during dry periods, bear witness to the great changes on the planet. These unique formations, sometimes reaching tens of meters in height, tell the story of how the climate and ecosystems of the region have changed. But that's not all. Within these underground labyrinths, remains of ancient animals and people, dating back 12,000 years, have been found. The most shocking discovery? Among the finds was the skeleton of a young woman known as Naya, which has become a significant artifact for understanding life during the Paleolithic era. This discovery not only confirms the presence of humans in this region, but also opens doors to their way of life and culture. The importance of Sac Actun in archaeological research is difficult to overestimate. It helps scientists understand how ancient civilizations adapted to changes in their environment, as well as how their rituals and beliefs were formed. The water that filled these caves has become a sort of repository, preserving fossils and artifacts that would have been mercilessly destroyed on the surface. But that's not all. Within the caves, one can find traces of ancient animals such as mammoths and giant sloths, further emphasizing the richness and diversity of the fauna that once inhabited this place. Sac Actun not only amazes with its size, but also with its role in understanding the ecosystem of the Yucatan, where the underwater and terrestrial worlds intertwine. And each time scientists explore these subterranean depths, they uncover new facts that raise more questions than answers. For example, in Sak Aktu, traces of ancient rituals have been found, leaving mysterious symbols on the cave walls. What could this have meant for those who lived 1,000 years ago? Each new artifact and discovery adds a brushstroke to the picture of the life and beliefs of the ancient inhabitants who once lived on this land. And this is just the beginning. Each expedition opens new horizons of knowledge about the past, making us ponder the future. Humanity has always striven to unravel the mysteries hidden beneath the surface of the oceans, and deep-sea research serves as a testament to human ingenuity and courage. Imagine this. At depths exceeding 10 kilometers, where pressure is 1,000 times greater than normal and temperatures can reach 0 degrees Celsius, researchers encounter unprecedented challenges. In such conditions, any material can become brittle, and light fades away, leaving only silence and darkness. Yet, this does not deter people. They develop technologies capable of withstanding immense pressure, creating structures that seem almost magical. Special composites and innovative alloys used in these conditions can be 10 times stronger than steel. How much energy is needed to lower a research probe to such depths? Energy consumption can reach several megawatts, equivalent to the energy required to power a small city. And what about communication with such devices? Underwater cables and acoustic systems allow data transmission over vast distances, despite the water's thickness, reminding us of how we overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Exploring the depths of the ocean opens up new horizons. Each time we descend a few kilometers, we discover unknown ecosystems where organisms with extraordinary properties reside. Some of them can glow in the dark due to bioluminescence, while others survive conditions that could destroy most known forms of life. How can such a small organism like dinoflagellates create mesmerizing light displays? And this is where it gets truly fascinating. Imagine entire ecosystems in the ocean's depths, dependent on chemical reactions that we are only beginning to understand. Research shows that some of these organisms possess unique proteins that could be used in medicine, opening new horizons for scientific research and disease treatment. And the most astonishing part? There are still many unexplored places where each dive can bring not only new knowledge, but also potential resources that could revolutionize our understanding of life on Earth. The bathyscaphe Trieste became a true symbol of human courage and the desire to explore the unknown. Its unique design featured a spherical cabin made of special steel 5 centimeters thick, capable of withstanding pressure exceeding 8 tons per square centimeter. The float, filled with gasoline, provided the necessary buoyancy and allowed the apparatus to descend into the depths of the ocean. 80-millimeter thick windows made of tempered glass enabled researchers to peer into a world of which most were unaware. The 9-hour descent began with tense anticipation as Jacques Picard and Don Walsh descended into the black abyss of the Mariana Trench to a depth of approximately 10,900 meters. They descended slowly, observing as the water temperature gradually fell and the light faded. At depth, they unexpectedly encountered a flounder that seemed completely unaccustomed to human presence, as if this encounter were a scene from a science fiction film. Despite all the difficulties and risks, the Trieste expedition was not just a scientific achievement, but also a cultural event that inspired generations of researchers. This mission demonstrated that the ocean hides many secrets, and that humanity can overcome any obstacle in the pursuit of knowledge. It is interesting to note that at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the pressure is 1,000 times greater than atmospheric pressure, and only thanks to the outstanding engineering solutions of Trieste could it withstand this pressure. Each moment of this underwater journey confirmed that the human spirit is capable of the extraordinary when it comes to seeking answers to the deepest questions. And the most astonishing thing? This descent opened doors to future research that continues to amaze us to this day, for at the bottom of the ocean, there may be creatures of which we are not even aware. The deep-sea vehicle Mira is a true marvel of engineering, capable of descending to depths of up to 6,000 meters, allowing researchers to explore the most inaccessible parts of the ocean. Developed in Russia, it has been a symbol of deep-sea science since its creation in 1980. The equipment on board Mira includes unique life support systems that can sustain the crew for more than a day under high pressure and low temperatures. These systems not only provide oxygen, but also remove carbon dioxide, which is crucial for long-duration dives. Imagine, then, the powerful manipulators on board that can handle objects weighing up to 100 kilograms and perform complex operations, making Mira indispensable in deep-sea research. Mira was actively used in expeditions that explored the sunken Titanic in 1991, providing scientists with unique data on the ship's condition and its surroundings. These studies led to unexpected discoveries, such as extensive colonies of bacteria that consume metal and accelerate corrosion, which were surprisingly active at a depth of 3,800 meters. But that's not all. Mira also participated in the filming of James Cameron's iconic movie Titanic, where it was used to create breathtaking underwater scenes, adding realism and depth to the visual experience. Thanks to its high-tech equipment, including high-resolution cameras and LED lighting sources, Mira has become a tool that allows for the creation of extraordinary visual effects and precise documentation of the underwater world. But here's what's even more astonishing. The vehicle can conduct scientific research near hydrothermal vents, where temperatures reach 200 degrees Celsius and pressure exceeds 300 atmospheres, opening new horizons for studying ecosystems on the brink of survival. Modern deep-sea drones and autonomous underwater vehicles are becoming true heroes of marine research. What makes them so appealing? It's the absence of risk to humans. These vehicles can dive to depths of over 6,000 meters without worrying about crew safety. Imagine a drone operating at a depth where the pressure is 800 times greater than atmospheric pressure. But that's not all. Autonomous underwater vehicles like Remus and Tethys can perform missions lasting up to several weeks, exploring hard-to-reach parts of the ocean floor. Their size is impressive. Some models are only 30 centimeters long, allowing them to maneuver in narrow passages and among underwater reefs. But how do they navigate in such a complex environment? These drones are equipped with high-precision inertial navigation systems and acoustic beacons that ensure accuracy within a few meters. What's most fascinating is that they can use GPS on the surface and rely on complex algorithms and underwater references underwater. Energy efficiency is another of their strong points. The batteries used in these vehicles can operate for up to 120 hours without recharging. This means they can cover vast areas, collecting data on the ocean floor and ecosystems. And what about data collection and communication with the surface? Some models, like Seabed, use multisensory systems that can collect data on temperature, salinity, and even the chemical composition of water. This data is transmitted to the surface through underwater acoustic channels, allowing scientists to receive information in real time. This is truly a revolution in mapping the ocean floor. Drones can create three-dimensional maps of the seafloor with a resolution of up to 1 meter, significantly improving our knowledge of underwater landscapes and ecosystems. And here's where it gets really exciting. Some vehicles can not only explore, but also perform tasks such as collecting soil samples or installing sensors. For example, the autonomous underwater vehicle Sentry can not only explore, but also collect samples at depths of over 4,000 meters. What's even more astonishing? Some of them can operate in low visibility conditions and even in strong currents, making them indispensable for research missions in challenging conditions. These technologies are not just opening new horizons for science, they are changing our understanding of what is possible in ocean research. The Nekton project has been a true revolution in ocean research, opening up entirely new horizons for understanding the depths of the Indian Ocean. Imagine submersible habitats descending to depths of over 200 meters. These are not just scientific studies, but genuine expeditions into the unknown. Utilizing high-tech drones, the team was able to achieve the first-ever live broadcasts from such depths, allowing millions of viewers worldwide to witness the captivating world of underwater life in real time. Over 100 hours of video footage shot at depths where sunlight barely penetrates revealed previously unknown marine organisms living in the dark depths of the ocean. With advanced sensors and cameras, researchers were able to document the migration of creatures previously thought to be mythical. For instance, a type of jellyfish that glows in the dark and reaches 1 meter in diameter was discovered. Imagine how incredible that is. Charting the seabed around the Seychelles and Maldives was another crucial task of this initiative. Using modern technologies such as multi-beam echo sounding, the team was able to create detailed maps of previously unexplored areas that had hidden their secrets for thousands of years. It turns out that the ocean floor is home to real underwater mountains and canyons that can tell the story of the region's geological history. But that's not all. Researchers also encountered shocking consequences of climate change affecting marine ecosystems. Stress factors such as rising water temperatures and increased acidity threaten the existence of unique ecosystems that nature has created over millions of years. And the most astonishing thing? Some of the organisms discovered have an incredible ability to recover, which could provide us with keys to combating ecological catastrophes. Underwater archaeology is a treasure trove of knowledge that reveals to us a world hidden beneath the waves of oceans and seas. Imagine historians and archaeologists diving into the dark depths, where each discovery can tell a story spanning thousands of years. These specialists use complex technologies to explore sunken ships, ancient cities, and even remnants of vanished civilizations. For instance, to work at depths of several dozen meters, they employ special underwater robots capable of transmitting images in real time. Have you heard of multifunctional underwater devices? They can not only take photos, but also collect samples from the seabed, analyzing the composition of materials. This allows scientists to reconstruct the picture of life in the past, even if the artifacts themselves are in poor condition. But that's not all. Underwater archaeologists use acoustic echolocation to create three-dimensional maps of sunken objects. These maps help visualize the structure of sunken buildings, which can be as large as a modern high-rise. Every centimeter of this underwater world is filled with mysteries and enigmas, and sometimes unique ecosystems are found developing around sunken objects. What secrets might such places hold? Research shows that such finds are home to rare marine animals that could be cures for diseases humanity has been battling for centuries. But that's not the most fascinating part. Scientists are developing special methods for extracting artifacts with minimal disturbance to the ecosystem. This means that underwater archaeology not only helps us learn about the past, but also cares for the future. There are even examples where discoveries have led to changes in legislation protecting historical heritage. And just when you think you've seen it all, researchers uncover that some sunken objects, such as ancient trading vessels, have preserved goods in their holds that can tell us about trade routes and cultural exchanges of the time. It's hard to imagine what discoveries await us in the depths of seas and oceans, for each expedition is not just work, but a real treasure hunt for the past, hidden beneath layers of water. Methods of dating underwater archaeological finds reveal a fascinating world filled with mysteries. One of the most powerful tools in this arsenal is radiocarbon dating. It allows for the determination of the age of organic materials, such as wood or textiles, and is applicable to all finds containing carbon. For instance, radiocarbon dating can be used to date wooden parts of ships recovered from the seabed, enabling the determination of their construction time with an accuracy of several decades. However, there is a catch. For this method to be successful, samples must be carefully collected and processed, otherwise the results can be distorted by the marine environment. How does it work? Carbon-14, one of the isotopes of carbon, begins to decay after the death of an organism, and knowing the level of this isotope in the sample allows for the determination of how many years have passed since its death. However, underwater conditions can affect the rate of decay, adding complexity to the interpretation of the data. Dendrochronology, on the other hand, is another important method, especially for the study of wooden parts of ships. Through the analysis of annual rings, it is possible not only to determine the age of the tree, but also to learn about the climatic conditions in which it grew. Trees used for shipbuilding can provide insights not only into the time of construction, but also into the trade routes of the time. And what about ceramics and coins? Their analysis provides information about the time of production, as well as about cultural connections. For example, ceramics can be dated by style and technology, while coins can be dated by the year of issue, helping to create a chronological sequence of finds. However, as with radiocarbon dating, underwater conditions can distort the results. Salt and microorganisms can cause corrosion and changes in the appearance of materials, making precise dating difficult. To overcome these distortions, researchers use special conservation methods, such as freezing finds immediately after extraction from water or applying chemicals to stabilize the samples. All these methods together create a complex picture that helps archaeologists look into the past. And now imagine how many more secrets are hidden at the bottom of the seas, waiting for their moment to reveal their mysteries. Conservation of artifacts retrieved from the seabed is a complex and multi-stage process that requires high precision and attention to detail. Let's start with wooden elements, which often suffer from the effects of salt and microorganisms. To stabilize such samples, polyethylene glycol is used, a polymer that penetrates the wood's structure, replacing water and preventing deformation. The process can take several years, depending on the size and condition of the artifact. For instance, after the wooden parts of the Vasa ship, which had been on the bottom of the Baltic Sea for more than 30 years, were raised, their treatment in polyethylene glycol took more than 20 years. But that's not all. Metallic items require a completely different approach. For them, electrolysis is used, which allows for the removal of corrosion without damaging the original surface. In this process, the artifact is placed in an electrolytic bath, where a chemical reaction occurs, restoring the metal. Solutions based on sodium or potassium are commonly used, and this process can take from several weeks to several months, depending on the level of corrosion. What's even more fascinating is that ceramic and organic materials require special conservation methods. Ceramics are often soaked in special solutions that help restore their integrity, while organic materials such as textiles are treated with special mixtures that prevent rotting. These methods can also take years, as each detail requires an individual approach and meticulous work. For example, the treatment of textile remains from sunken ships can take up to 15 years. And here's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes the conservation process is so long that the intertwining of stories and technologies turns into a true saga about preserving the past for future generations. And do you know how long it can take to fully restore artifacts? Sometimes up to 30 years, as in the case of the Vasa ship. Imagine how many secrets and stories these artifacts hold, waiting for their moment to see the light again. Underwater archaeology faces unique legal challenges that necessitate careful regulation and protection of submerged cultural heritage. In 2001, the UNESCO Convention on the Protection of the Underwater Cultural Heritage was adopted. This convention marked a significant step in international law, establishing states' rights to submerged objects within their territorial waters. Notably, the convention grants states sovereign rights to protect and manage all finds in their waters, providing a legal basis for the preservation of artifacts, sunken ships, and other culturally significant objects. However, treasure hunters seeking to extract value from the depths pose a significant threat to the preservation of this heritage. Their actions often lead to the destruction of historical contexts, depriving us of the ability to understand how and why these objects ended up on the seabed. While commercial salvage may seem profitable, it can result in uncontrolled exportation of artifacts, exacerbating ethical dilemmas. Should we raise these fines if it threatens their historical value? For instance, some sunken ships contain not only material wealth, but also numerous records of the lives and cultures of those who built them. Each artifact is a fragment of history, lost in the process of commercial exploitation. Furthermore, Different countries have their own laws and approaches to the protection of underwater heritage, leading to legal conflicts. For example, the United States has the Abandoned Shipwrecks Act, which requires researchers to obtain permits for excavations. In contrast, in countries like Egypt, the protection of submerged objects is more stringent, reflecting the deep connection of these cultures with their history. Despite these efforts, treasure hunters continue to find loopholes in the laws, extracting artifacts that end up on the black market. What is even more shocking is that some of these finds can be worth millions of dollars, but their value lies not just in the material, but in the fact that they are unique witnesses to past eras. The use of photogrammetry and three-dimensional modeling in underwater archaeology has been a true revolution. Imagine being able to create a detailed digital model of a sunken ship without diving into dangerous waters. The process begins with researchers taking thousands of photographs of the object from various angles, capturing every detail. These images are then processed by specialized software that analyzes the images and creates a three-dimensional model based on geometry and color. For instance, in the project studying the sunken ship Emden in 2018, researchers took over 3,000 photographs, resulting in a model with an accuracy of up to 90%. But that's not all. This technology allows scientists to preserve the context of the findings, enabling them to study not only the object itself, but also its surroundings. This helps in understanding how the artifact ended up on the ocean floor and what historical events might have influenced its sinking. What's even more astonishing is that virtual museums created from these models can allow millions of people to see artifacts without leaving their homes. In contrast, traditional exhibitions may limit access to fragile finds. Digital models also allow researchers to avoid repeated dives for further studies, saving resources and time. Researchers can examine the structure, materials, and even possible damage to objects without putting them at risk. 80% of archaeologists agree that photogrammetry has made underwater archaeology more accessible and safer. Moreover, this technology enables the creation of accurate replicas of finds for educational purposes, opening new horizons for historical research. Virtual reality based on these models allows users to immerse themselves in the underwater world and explore sunken objects as if they were on the spot of the discovery. And the most remarkable thing? This technology continues to develop, with ongoing work on integrating artificial intelligence for automating the creation of three-dimensional models, making the process even faster and more efficient. The ocean depths hold mysteries that often seem completely unreal. Imagine this. More than 90% of the ocean floor remains unexplored, raising truly shocking questions. Did you know that underwater volcanoes can erupt lava at temperatures around 1200 degrees Celsius, creating new ecosystems teeming with life in unique forms? But this is just the tip of the iceberg. In the vast depths where sunlight never reaches, creatures that can glow in the dark using bioluminescence exist. One such extraordinary form of life, the angelfish, can grow up to 30 centimeters long and display colors that defy imagination, as if nature itself were playing with a palette. And the most intriguing part? Oceanic anomalies, such as mysterious sounds recorded by underwater microphones, remain unexplained. These sounds, known as booms, occur at depths of more than 3 kilometers and resemble thunder, but their source remains unknown. Some of these sounds may originate from unknown forms of life hidden in the ocean's depths. Furthermore, in certain regions, unusual structures on the ocean floor have been found, resembling ancient ruins, but their origin remains unexplained. Scientific research shows that underwater currents can reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour, creating underwater hurricanes that can reshape the seafloor in mere hours. If you thought that was all, you're in for a surprise. Scientists have discovered that in some parts of the ocean, oxygen levels can drop sharply, creating so-called dead zones, where life is virtually impossible. Incidentally, did you know that in these dead zones, organisms capable of surviving at zero oxygen levels exist? This opens up a whole new world for study. And imagine this. The ocean may hold not only life, but entire cities submerged in ancient times, waiting to be discovered. There are theories that the ocean floors may contain remnants of civilizations that existed millions of years ago, raising questions about how many more secrets are hidden in these boundless waters. Experts claim that the ocean may contain up to 30 million different species of organisms, and only 10% of them are known to science. All this is not just about ecosystems, but an entire universe that constantly changes and opens new horizons for research. In the ocean, there are places where pressure exceeds 800 atmospheres, and in these conditions, forms of life exist that we can hardly imagine. So, when you look at the sea, remember, beneath its calm surface lie mysteries that could change our understanding of life on Earth. On July 18, 1997, hydrophones from NOAA recorded sounds that shook scientists. They were given the name bloop. These ultra-low-frequency sounds, which traveled through the ocean, had a frequency of around 24 hertz and were so powerful that their intensity exceeded that of a blue whale's call by 1,000 times. Imagine this. Even the loudest sound produced by a blue whale reaches a level of 125 decibels, while bloop was so powerful that its acoustic waves could travel thousands of kilometers. The geographical origin of these sounds remained a mystery, as they were recorded in the southwest part of the Pacific Ocean near the island of Midway at a depth of more than 3,000 meters. The bloop sounds recurred several times a year, and each time their nature left scientists baffled. What could be the source of such powerful acoustic waves? Scientific theories about the origin of bloop ranged from unknown marine animals to ice processes and even seismic activity. Some researchers suggested that these sounds could be caused by giant underwater volcanoes that erupted with such force that they created powerful sound waves. Others pointed to the possibility that these could be traces of the migration of marine creatures of unimaginable size. Who knows what secrets lie in the depths of the ocean? But the most intriguing hypothesis was that bloop could be sounds caused by the melting of enormous ice masses, which produce powerful noises when they collide. These ice masses, like giant accordions, emit sounds when pressure and temperature change. And the most incredible thing? Bloop was so powerful that its sounds could be heard even in the most remote parts of the ocean floor, which leads to thoughts that in the oceanic depths, perhaps, there exist creatures that can produce sounds beyond our understanding. Imagine, in the darkness of the night ocean, a sudden milky white luminescence appears, covering areas of hundreds of square kilometers. Known as Milky Sea, this phenomenon has long inspired awe and fear in sailors, who described it as something supernatural. One of the earliest recorded instances occurred in 1839, when the captain of the ship, Harriet, noticed the ocean glowing like it was covered in white feathers. But this is more than just a beautiful sight. The scientific explanation behind this phenomenon involves bioluminescent bacteria that thrive in specific conditions. In warm, nutrient-rich waters, such as those in tropical regions, these microbes proliferate, causing the unique luminescence. What's even more impressive, satellite observations in 2020 recorded Milky Sea in the Caribbean, where the area of luminescence reached nearly 60 square miles. This phenomenon is linked to increased water temperature and the presence of certain microelements, such as phosphates and nitrates, which create an ideal environment for bacterial growth. But that's not all. Research has shown that the luminescence intensifies under stress, for example, when layers of water are mixed due to a storm. Many sailors shared their experiences, describing how their ships seemed to glide over the luminescent surface, creating the sensation of sailing through a fairy tale. In 2017, one research expedition recorded how the luminescence changed colors from white to bright green, depending on the time of day and environmental conditions. Remarkably, in some cases, the light was so bright that it could be seen from several thousand meters high. And here's where it gets really strange. Recent research indicates that climate change can affect the frequency and intensity of this phenomenon. creating new conditions for bacterial life and reproduction. Given global warming, researchers warn that we can expect to see Milky Sea in unexpected places, posing new mysteries for scientists and sailors alike. Each new observation of this phenomenon opens doors to further research and raises new questions. How will this luminescence impact ocean ecosystems and the behavior of their inhabitants? Signals known as quakers represent some of the most mysterious underwater objects detected by the hydroacoustic systems of submarines. These signals were recorded during the Cold War, and their characteristics continue to puzzle even the most experienced researchers. Imagine an object capable of moving at speeds up to 200 knots, which is twice as fast as most modern submarines. But that's not all. Quakers can suddenly change direction, making them difficult to track and analyze. According to military research, the depth at which these signals are detected ranges from several tens to over 200 meters, adding to their mystery. How have these underwater objects managed to remain hidden? The secrecy surrounding quakers has given rise to numerous speculations. Some suggest they might be unknown marine animals capable of such unusual maneuvers, while others believe they are simply malfunctions in the hydroacoustic equipment. However, underwater technologies are not static, and such errors alone cannot explain the entire picture. Some experts propose the existence of unidentified underwater objects that could have been created as part of secret military programs. Did you know that in some cases, quakers were detected in close proximity to military bases? Their presence caused panic among the military personnel who couldn't understand what they were dealing with. And here's where things get really strange. Some researchers claim that these signals could indicate the existence of life forms we've never seen before. Such hypotheses fuel interest in the depths of the ocean, which remain largely unexplored. If you thought that was all, prepare for more mysteries. In some cases, quakers were detected at depths where, according to scientists, life in the conventional sense cannot exist. What kind of creatures or objects could exist in such conditions? Perhaps they are just reflections of sounds off underwater mountains or other geological formations, but then why do they move so quickly? Each new signal sparks further research and raises more questions. All we can hope for is that in the future, we will uncover the secrets of these mysterious objects and understand what lies beneath the surface of the ocean. Red tides. Imagine a sea painted in a vivid red, where each wave seems alive. This phenomenon occurs due to the mass reproduction of toxic algae, and its impact on ecosystems is astonishing. Do you know that some types of algae can reproduce into billions of cells in just a few days? When conditions are ideal, such as high water temperature, excess nutrients, and calm weather, these algae, like dinoflagellates, begin their explosive growth. But that's not all. Beneath their bright coloration lies poison, which can threaten marine life. For instance, some of these toxins can cause mass fish mortality and even affect marine mammals like dolphins and seals. Considering that each such outbreak can lead to fish destruction, significant economic consequences are felt, affecting both fishing and tourism. In some regions, where fishermen depend on their catches, losses can reach millions of dollars. For example, in 2009, economic losses from the red tide in California exceeded $20 million. But there are even more worrying facts. The number of these events is increasing, and this is linked to climate change and ocean pollution. Rising water temperatures and excess fertilizers from agriculture contribute to the increasing frequency of red tides. In some regions, such as the eastern coast of the U.S., the number of cases has increased by 30% over the last 10 years. And here begins a real game of cat and mouse. Ecosystems are trying to adapt to new conditions, but not always successfully. There are cases where such outbreaks have led to the disappearance of entire fish populations, which then affects food chains. But did you know that not all algae causing red tides are toxic? Some of them can simply be beautiful, but under stress, they begin to release toxins, changing their nature. This discovery raises many questions about how we can predict and control these phenomena. And the most interesting part, Scientists worldwide are working on new methods of monitoring and predicting red tides, which could help prevent economic losses and protect marine ecosystems. In some labs, special sensors are being developed that can detect toxic algae several days before they appear on the surface. But the question remains, how effective will these technologies be in the face of a rapidly changing climate and a polluted environment? The ocean, which covers more than 70% of our planet's surface, exerts a powerful influence on human consciousness, evoking both fear and fascination. Each time we stand at the shore, we can feel the waves crashing against the sand, and this spectacle becomes a catalyst for reflection. Scientific research shows that the sounds of the ocean, such as the rhythmic lapping of waves, can slow the heart rate, creating a sense of calm and tranquility. However, the paradox is that while the ocean calms, it can also be a source of anxiety, as its deep waters hide mysteries yet to be revealed. Studies indicate that the depth of the oceans is around 13,000 meters, and in these dark depths, creatures dwell that inspire both awe and fear. Remarkably, more than 90% of the ocean remains unexplored, leaving room for numerous myths and legends that fuel our imagination. Recall the majestic hurricanes that form over open waters, capable of destroying entire cities and leaving behind only ruins, emphasizing the power of nature that we cannot control. On the other hand, the underwater world beckons with its beauty. Coral reefs, vibrant and diverse, are home to millions of organisms that interact in a complex ecosystem. This is a place where life teems, and it seems that all functions of the body are attuned to harmony. According to the World Wildlife Fund, coral reefs support more than 25% of all marine life, and their existence is directly dependent on the health of the ocean. However, it is worth remembering that due to climate change and pollution, around half of the reefs are at risk of disappearing. So how does the ocean influence our perception of life? It may be because its vast horizons symbolize endless possibilities and dreams of travel, while its unpredictability can evoke fear of the unknown. Psychologists assert that interaction with nature, and particularly with water, can increase happiness levels, as water resources are associated with life. But do not forget that the sea can be both a friend and a foe. Remember how the ocean swallows ships, leaving only memories of those who dared to conquer its expanses. Remarkably, in some cultures, there are legends about sea spirits that guard their depths and can either bless or curse those who dare to enter their realm. And it is this combination of beauty and danger that makes the ocean a subject of constant study and admiration. It turns out that even the smell of the sea, which contains many salts and minerals, can evoke a sense of happiness and calm in a person. Did you know that the presence of the sea in our lives can affect our health? Research shows that people living near water have lower levels of stress and anxiety. But what is truly intriguing is that despite this, 80% of the world's population lives far from the ocean. How does this affect their perception and attitude towards this mighty element? Thalassophilia is not just a love for the sea, but a deep psychological connection that goes back to our evolution. Consider this. Our ancestors survived near bodies of water millions of years ago, and this has left its mark on our DNA. Does this remind you of the water ape hypothesis? This theory suggests that our ancestors adapted to life near water, which contributed to the development of both physical and cognitive abilities. When we gaze at the vast expanse of water, our brain releases neurochemicals like serotonin and dopamine, creating a sense of happiness and calm. This is not just a coincidence. Studies show that contemplating the smooth surface of water can reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone, by as much as 30%. Do you know that the sounds of waves have a therapeutic effect? They not only soothe but also improve sleep quality by reducing anxiety levels. A recent study conducted by the University of Liverpool found that spending 10 minutes by the sea can significantly enhance overall well-being. Cultural expressions of thalassophilia can be found everywhere, from Claude Monet's beautiful paintings with their endless marine landscapes to the poems of A.S. Pushkin, where the sea becomes a symbol of freedom and inspiration. In art, the sea is often depicted as a source of life and strength, and its depths are shrouded in mystery and enigma. There are even studies showing that people who grew up near water are more likely to choose professions related to it, such as marine biologists or lifeguards. How can we explain this connection? It turns out that people who experience thalassophilia activate the same brain regions as those who practice meditation. This creates a sense of unity with nature, which is so strongly felt when we stand on the shore and listen to the sound of the sea. And here's something fascinating. In some cultures, there is a belief that the sound of waves can cleanse the soul and bring prosperity. The sea has become an integral part of human culture, preserving both physical and spiritual strength that continues to inspire people around the world. Thalassophobia is not just a fear of the ocean, it is a genuine psychological problem affecting millions of people worldwide. Did you know that approximately 7% of the population experiences deep discomfort at the thought of vast bodies of water? This irrational fear can manifest from mild anxiety to panic attacks, when a person simply cannot be near water. But where does this phobia come from? The evolutionary roots of thalassophobia are linked to the instinct of self-preservation. Our ancestors, living in the wild, could encounter dangers hidden in the ocean depths, such as predatory sharks or hidden underwater currents. These instincts may have been passed down through generations, residing in our subconscious. But it's not just personal negative experiences that can lead to thalassophobia. Social influence also plays a role. For instance, if you watched a film as a child where terrible things happened on the water, it could leave an imprint on your consciousness and provoke fear. Popular culture reflects this fear. Remember the iconic film Jaws, which not only became a classic, but also created a generation of people afraid to swim in open water. Did you know that after its release, the number of beach visitors in some areas decreased by 30%? And what about modern horror films? They continue to exploit this fear, making us afraid not only of sharks, but also of other marine creatures like giant squids, or even ghosts dwelling under the water. Therapy methods to overcome thalassophobia vary, from cognitive behavioral therapy to exposure therapy, where the patient gradually confronts their fear. For example, some therapists suggest clients first watch videos of the ocean, then visit small bodies of water, and finally, venture into open water. This process requires time and patience, but the results can be remarkable. And the most surprising thing? Research shows that most people who overcome their fear begin to see the ocean not as an enemy, but as a source of inspiration and beauty. The peculiar and inexplicable urge to leap into the abyss, standing at the edge of a cliff or a deep body of water, is known as the call of the abyss. This phenomenon evokes bewilderment and fear, but in reality, it is quite common among psychologically healthy individuals. Studies show that up to 50% of people have experienced this strange impulse at least once in their lives. Scientists link this phenomenon to neuropsychological mechanisms that are activated when we are in a state of high anxiety or stress. Imagine this. You stand at the edge of a cliff, your heart pounding, and your thoughts racing. At that moment, centers in the brain responsible for fear and the instinct for self-preservation are activated. But paradoxically, this can trigger a burning desire to jump, as if suicide becomes the only way to escape this feeling. This impulse, surprisingly, may be connected to high-functioning anxiety, where a person tries to control their emotions but at some point loses control. The fear we feel when standing at the edge mixes with adrenaline, and in our brain a conflict arises. We want to stay safe, but at the same time, we are drawn to the unknown. It is interesting that the call of the abyss has even found reflection in literature, starting with Herman Melville, who described the ocean as a symbol of infinity and the unknown, and ending with Joseph Conrad, whose stories are filled with dark romance and inner struggle. In Moby Dick, Melville creates an atmosphere where the sea becomes not only a physical space, but also a metaphor for the human struggle with oneself. Studies show that such literary images can deepen our understanding of the call of the abyss, highlighting how often, as a species, we have encountered this internal conflict. It is fascinating that this phenomenon is also studied in the context of existential philosophy, where the call of the abyss is seen as a symbol of deep inner fears and desires that we all carry within ourselves. What is even more shocking? Some psychologists claim that this feeling may not only be a sign of anxiety, but also a part of our human nature, striving to explore boundaries, even if it costs us our lives. Seasickness of the mind. It's more than just motion sickness on a ship. It's a deep change in perception that occurs in sailors after prolonged time at sea. Imagine the brain adapting to constant motion, where waves become part of your existence, and each turn of the ship evokes a strange sense of stability. But when they return to land, a real struggle begins. Familiar solid surfaces cause discomfort, and the world seems too static. A study conducted in 2012 found that 35% of sailors who spent more than 30 days at sea exhibited symptoms similar to vestibular disorders, such as dizziness and a sense of uncertainty. In the journals of great explorers like James Cook, you can find accounts of strange sensations when, after long voyages, they stepped onto land and felt as if they were still on the ship, losing their balance on solid ground. These accounts are not just historical notes. They offer a window into the unique psychological world of people whose lives are connected to the sea. Neuropsychological research shows that sailors who have spent a long time at sea experience changes in the structure of their brains. There is an increase in gray matter in areas responsible for perception and coordination. But this is not the only mystery. How do these changes affect their personality? Many sailors report that after long voyages, they become more attuned to their surroundings, their intuition sharpens, and their ability to make decisions in uncertain conditions improves. Some even claim to develop a special connection with the sea, as if they become part of it. This may explain why many of them struggle to adapt to normal life on land, where there is no familiar rhythm of waves and no whispering wind. What's even more intriguing? In recent years, scientists have begun to study how seasickness of the mind can influence creativity and artistic perception, opening new horizons for understanding the psychology of sailors. These studies show that the marine environment can not only cause physical changes, but also shape a unique psychology that can influence the creative process. The ocean, covering more than 70% of our planet's surface, is a powerful mythological symbol that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries. Its boundless waters, teeming with mysteries, serve as a source of life for millions of beings, while simultaneously symbolizing chaos and destruction. Water, as the primary element, connects worlds. It represents the boundary between the known and the unknown, the material and the spiritual. This is the place where sea and sky converge, providing the perfect backdrop for numerous myths of creation, transition, and transformation. Many traditions depict the ocean as the abode of supernatural beings, ranging from colossal monsters to wise spirits guarding the secrets of the universe. Have you noticed that in these myths, the ocean is often described as a living organism? Its waves seem to breathe, and storms arise as expressions of the gods' anger or joy. Water, which can be calm and soothing, can in an instant become a raging torrent, capable of destroying everything in its path. This dual nature of the ocean evokes both fear and awe. Many legends tell of heroes embarking on journeys across turbulent waters, encountering invisible forces that test their resolve. Remarkably, in most myths, the ocean becomes a symbol of purification and rebirth. Navigating its waters can mean not only physical transformation, but also spiritual renewal, like when a hero emerges from a long and dangerous voyage. A storm on the ocean represents a trial that must be endured to become wiser and stronger. And here's another intriguing detail. The ocean is often associated with eternity and infinity. Its depths hold not only life but also ancient mysteries that have remained unsolved for countless centuries. Archaeological findings indicate that human perception of the ocean as a mystical space has existed for more than 30,000 years, underscoring its significance in collective consciousness. The underwater worlds hidden from view serve as metaphors for the unexplored corners of the human soul, and research shows that this constant drive to uncover the unseen inspires people to create myths. What's even more captivating? The ocean does not just divide continents, it unites them as a symbol of unity that transcends linguistic and cultural barriers. In this context, the ocean becomes not only a space filled with dangers, but also a source of inspiration for artists, poets, and thinkers who have drawn from its depths ideas about life, love, and death for centuries. Poseidon, the god of the seas and oceans, was the second most important deity in Greek-Roman mythology after Zeus, and he possessed extraordinary attributes that emphasized his power and majesty. One of his most famous symbols is the trident, which, according to the myths, could cause earthquakes and storms, as well as part the waters. This trident was often depicted in Poseidon's hands as he rode his magnificent chariot, pulled by hippocamps, mythical creatures with the body of a horse and the tail of a fish, symbolizing his connection to the sea. Imagine him racing across the boundless waters, leaving waves in his wake, with his hippocamps gracefully following him, dancing on the surface of the ocean. Poseidon's character was complex. On one hand, he possessed immense power and strength, but on the other, his nature could be unpredictable and even cruel. Legends tell of his jealousy and wrath when he punished those who dared challenge him. For example, in the myth of Poseidon and Athena, they competed for the patronage of Athens. Poseidon struck the earth with his trident, creating a spring of salty water, while Athena gave the people an olive tree. The city's inhabitants chose Athena's gift, and this marked the beginning of their worship of her, which greatly angered Poseidon. The cult of Poseidon had its centers of worship, among which the temples in Corinth and on the island of Delos stood out. The temple in Corinth was one of the most magnificent, its construction completed in the 3rd century BC. Here, grand festivals were held in honor of Poseidon, featuring sea games and competitions. Notably, Poseidon, as the god of water, was also associated with horses, as he was revered as the patron of horse breeding and equestrian events. But that's not the most astonishing part. Poseidon's image did not fade away only in the culture of ancient Greeks, but also in the subsequent European artistic tradition. His image evolved, and during the Renaissance, he became a symbol of the power of nature and art. Artists like Sandro Botticelli and Michelangelo depicted him as a majestic, manly god, acting as the protector of the sea. This transformation elevated Poseidon to new levels of popularity, and his figure became a symbol not only of the sea, but also of human strength and will. What's even more surprising? The myths of Poseidon inspired not only artists, but also composers like Hector Berlioz, who in his work The Three used musical motifs that reflected his divine nature. Ryujin, also known as Watatsumi, is not just a sea deity, but a true ruler of the underwater world, often depicted as a mighty dragon. Imagine him. His long body writhes in the boundless depths of the ocean, and his scales shimmer like precious gems. The dragon ruler dwells in a magnificent underwater palace, said to be built of coral and pearls, where his most precious treasure, the pearl that controls the tides, is kept. This pearl, the size of a fist, possesses incredible power, and it is with this pearl that Ryujin maintains order in the seas. What's most fascinating is that ancient Japanese believed that if the pearl were lost, the sea would become unpredictable, and life along the coast would be threatened. Ryujin is also renowned for his daughters, who, according to myths, married famous heroes and deities, including Susanoo himself. Their marriages symbolized the union of heaven and sea, and each daughter possessed unique abilities that helped protect people from maritime dangers. Fishermen and sailors, seeking to appease Ryujin, performed special rituals, offering fish and other gifts in the hope of his favor. These ceremonies were often accompanied by songs and dances in honor of the deity. But that's not all. Ryujin has had a profound impact on Japanese art and literature. In works by authors like Murasaki Shikibu, his image has become a symbol of strength and wisdom. In paintings, he is often depicted amidst the waves, with the precious pearl gleaming in his claws, inspiring many artists to create stunning woodblock prints and paintings. Interestingly, even in modern Japanese anime, Ryujin continues to be a popular character, embodying the connection between humans and the sea, and the power of nature, making him one of the most revered deities in Japan. In some temples, statues of Ryujin, adorned with vibrant colors, can still be seen, and his legends are passed down from generation to generation. Tangaroa, the Polynesian god of the ocean, holds a central place in the cosmogonic myths of many islands in the Pacific Ocean. On Hawaii, he is known as Kanaloa, and on the islands of Tonga, he is called Maui. His origin and role vary, but he is always associated with the sea, fishing, and life on the water. In some legends, it is said that Tangaroa was one of the first gods created from chaos, and that he formed the ocean, filling it with life. And now, the most fascinating part. According to the myths, he not only created fish and marine creatures, but also gave people the knowledge necessary for successful fishing. On the islands of Samoa, there is a tradition where Tangaroa, bestowing gifts on people, expects them to respect the ocean and observe certain taboos. Do you know what happens if these taboos are violated? Legends say that this can provoke the god's wrath, causing storms or reducing the catch. But that's not the strangest thing. Tangaroa was involved in conflicts with other deities, especially with Tain, the god of forests. This struggle symbolized the conflict between sea and land, and in some versions of the myth, Tangaroa defeated Tain, allowing him to establish his dominion over the watery realms. In other stories, Tain and Tangaroa find ways to coexist, reflecting the harmony between natural elements. It's interesting that Tangaroa not only patronizes fishing, but is also the deity of navigation. His veneration is linked to numerous rituals, including sacrifices performed before setting sail. Fishermen pray to Tangaroa for a successful catch and often sacrifice the first fish they catch to appease the god. On the islands of Fiji, there are special festivals dedicated to Tangaroa, where people gather to celebrate his generosity and express their gratitude. These rituals help strengthen the bond between the people and the ocean, emphasizing the importance of respecting natural resources. And what is truly intriguing, in some Polynesian cultures, it is believed that Tangaroa is also responsible for the creation of new islands, raising them from the depths of the ocean. Imagine the myths describing huge waves lifting the land, forming new lands for life. The mystery of his true origin remains a subject of debate, as different cultures attribute him with various lineages, making him a figure that is both universal and unique. In this context, the significance of Tangaroa for the cultures of the peoples of the Pacific Ocean goes beyond that of a simple deity. He embodies the unity of man with nature, and his veneration is an important part of Polynesian identity and culture. Among the mysteries of Scandinavian mythology, Aegir stands out, a mighty sea giant who ruled an underwater palace that captivated the imagination. His palace lay at the bottom of the ocean, surrounded by shimmering coral reefs and multicolored fish. It was here that Aegir entertained the gods, hosting lavish feasts where tables groaned under the weight of food and drinks flowed like rivers. What was most remarkable was the use of self-luminous golden objects that illuminated the dark waters of the ocean, creating an atmosphere of magic and mystery. His wife, Ran, a personification of the sea's merciless side, was not only his companion, but also the mistress of a net that she used to catch drowning sailors. This net, described as akin to a spider's web, could ensnare even those who tried to escape from storms. Notably, Ran had 9 daughters, the Wave Maidens, each representing different aspects of the sea's nature, from calm waves to fierce tempests. These daughters were living metaphors of the sea, playing a significant role in myths about sea voyages and the fates of sailors. At Aegir's feasts, gods gathered to celebrate their bravery and courage, and in these moments, the sea revealed its dual nature. It could be generous, providing rich catches for fishermen, and at the same time, it could be deadly, consuming those who did not show proper respect. This contrast between the sea's kindness and wrath makes Aegir and Ran central figures in Scandinavian mythology, reflecting the complex relationships people have with the ocean, which, like the gods themselves, can be both friend and foe. Additionally, it is said that at each feast, Aegir would recount stories of his encounters with other sea creatures, adding to the mystique and drawing the attention even of the most experienced gods. Considering all these aspects, it is clear why Aegir and Ran occupy a central place in the Scandinavian pantheon, embodying the endless depths and mysteries that the sea conceals. The ocean, this boundless blue world, has always been a source of inspiration for creators and artists. More than 70% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, making the ocean not just a part of nature, but a true symbol of life and the unknown. Its depths hide mysteries that attract not only researchers, but also writers, artists, and musicians. Imagine waves rolling towards the shore, like the whispers of ancient beings that once inhabited these waters. This sound evokes a sense of infinity, of eternity, drawing in creative people of all eras. The ocean has become a metaphor for human emotions. Its calmness symbolizes tranquility, while a storm represents passion and anger. Water, as a living entity, can change, reflecting human emotions and states, making it an ideal subject for artistic expression. Did you know that at the bottom of the ocean, one can find forms of life that appear as if they came from another world? These creatures have inspired countless artists to create memorable images and symbols. Often, prayers for help and searches for the meaning of life are depicted through ocean imagery. Its depth becomes a metaphor for the inner world, while waves symbolize aspirations and hopes. Musicians, in turn, find in the sounds of the sea rhythms that serve as the basis for melodies capable of conveying a sense of vastness and mystery. The ocean evokes in people questions about what lies beyond the horizon, a fundamental aspect of human nature, the desire to explore and discover the new. Now imagine the ocean, with its endless waves, serving as the subject for great works of art, where each drop of water can tell a story of love, loss, or hope. More than 90% of the oceans remain unexplored, holding the potential for new stories and artistic images waiting to be discovered. Each time an artist or writer turns to the image of the ocean, they can uncover a new perspective on familiar things, creating something unique and memorable. Water, as a symbol of life, has always inspired us, pushing us to new discoveries and deep reflections. Did you know that underwater currents can reach speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour, creating whirlpools that can even drag the largest ships? Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick is not just a story about whaling, but a true epic about man's struggle against the boundless sea and his own demons. Let's start with the white whale, which symbolizes more than just a marine creature. It embodies the unknown, the untamed force of nature, and the harsh beauty of the natural world that man futilely tries to conquer. The white whale, or Moby Dick, has become a symbol of obsession and revenge, particularly evident in the character of Captain Ahab. This man, who lost his leg in a battle with Moby Dick, plunges into a dark obsession, driven to avenge the sea monster. It's interesting that Ahab not only hunts the whale, but also represents a metaphor for man's struggle against fate and inevitability. His obsession shows how passion can turn into self-destruction, making the story deeply philosophical. But there's more to it. Melville creates an almost encyclopedic text about the whaling industry, where each chapter becomes a lesson about the sea, its inhabitants, and the technologies of hunting. For example, in the chapter The Whale Hunt, the author describes in detail the methods of catching whales, their size and weight, allowing the reader to feel the weight and danger of the whaling trade. Did you know what whaling is? It's a real war between man and nature, where the size of a whale can reach up to 30 meters in length and weigh up to 100 tons. And then things get really strange. Philosophical musings about the nature of man in the face of nature permeate the entire text. Melville raises questions about the essence of human life, how the pursuit of power and control can lead to catastrophe. For example, in the scene where Ahab, in his quest for the whale, declares that he will not submit to any force of nature, it becomes clear that this stubbornness leads to tragic consequences. Each character on the Pequod is a reflection of various human traits, from fear to courage, making the novel multi-layered and alive. Moby Dick has had a huge impact on literature and culture, inspiring authors like Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald. This work has become the basis for many interpretations and adaptations, including theatrical productions and film adaptations. Moreover, the novel has become a symbol of man's struggle against nature, which is still relevant today as environmental issues become increasingly significant. And what's even more shocking, Melville himself did not know that his novel would become a classic, and it was only decades after its publication in 1851 that its greatness was recognized. William Turner created stunning maritime paintings that forever changed the perception of marine art. His works resembled real theaters of nature. Waves seemed to rise as if they could burst from the canvas, and light penetrated every detail, creating an effect as if the viewer were in the midst of a storm. What is remarkable is that Turner often used the technique of Impressionism several decades before it became a popular movement. He blurred the boundaries between realism and abstraction, allowing him to convey not only the external appearance of the sea, but also its emotional power. In his famous work, Rain, Steam, and Speed, one can see how he used bright colors and blurred forms to capture the elusive atmosphere of a flood. It is important to note that Turner was not only an artist, but also a true researcher of light and its impact on the perception of nature. In his paintings, the sea becomes not just a backdrop, but a living, breathing entity. When he depicted shipwrecks, such as in The Battle of Trafalgar, he used powerful contrasts, dark, turbulent waves against bright light illuminating the sky. This created a sense of drama and the endless power of nature. And what is truly astonishing, his works inspired such masters as Claude Monet and Vincent van Gogh, who in turn changed the approach to painting by focusing on the transmission of the moment. Turner used spontaneous brushstrokes to show movement, creating an effect as if the viewer could feel the wind and the spray of water. His paintings, such as The Shipwreck and Sunlight and Sea, not only attracted viewers but also evoked strong emotions, making them ponder the fragility of human life in the face of nature's power. His influence on marine art is still felt today. Many contemporary artists strive to replicate his approach to light and atmosphere. Do you know what technique he used to convey light? Special layers of transparent paint that gave his paintings depth, as seen in his Sun Rising on the Sea. And this is just a part of his legacy that continues to inspire artists around the world. Claude Debussy's symphonic suite, The Sea, is not just music. It is a complete soundscape that can transport the listener to the shore of the ocean. The first movement, From Dawn to Noon on the Sea, begins with soft, almost imperceptible sounds that evoke the first rays of sunlight piercing the morning mist. Here, Debussy employs special harmonies and unusual chords to create a sense of lightness and freshness. Instruments like flutes and strings whisper, conveying a sense of tranquility, while more powerful sounds emerge, reflecting the growing movement of the water. This is not just music, it is sound that breathes, like the sea itself. The next movement, The Play of Waves, picks up the tempo and mood, weaving unstable rhythms and dynamic melodies into the musical fabric. Here, Debussy uses innovative techniques such as trills and rapid passages to create the effect of pulsating waves that surge onto the shore and then retreat back into the abyss. Melodies overlap and intertwine like seaweed swaying underwater, creating a sense of endless motion. In the final movement, dialogue between wind and sea, we witness a grand struggle between the elements. Debussy uses contrasting musical themes to depict the wind driving the waves and the sea responding to its assault. Here, sharp chords alternate with tender passages, creating the sensation of a dialogue in which each theme fights for attention. The combination of slow and fast parts creates the effect of a stormy sea, where every sound is part of the overall picture. The story of The Sea is no less interesting. Debussy began working on the suite in 1901, and it was first performed in 1911. This work became a landmark for Impressionistic music, as it fully embodies the philosophy of this movement, capturing the sensation of a moment rather than a clear narrative line. The influence of the sea on 20th century music is hard to overestimate. Composers such as Malipière, Stravinsky, and even contemporaries were inspired by Debussy's innovative techniques, creating their own musical masterpieces. And what is even more astonishing, this suite continues to inspire musicians today, finding resonance in the hearts of listeners around the world. Imagine this: the crashing waves of the ocean, depicted in the art of Japanese ukiyo-e prints. Works by Katsushika Hokusai and Utagawa Hiroshige have become iconic pieces that capture not only the beauty of nature, but also the deep philosophy associated with water. Let's start with 36 Views of Mount Fuji, where one of the most famous prints, The Great Wave off Kanagawa, showcases the unparalleled power of the sea. This wave, as tall as a 5-story building, is ready to swallow small boats, making the viewer ponder the fragility of life. Hokusai used a unique technique, combining colored layers and textures to create the effect of moving water that seems alive. Did you know he used pigments derived from minerals to achieve the vibrancy and saturation of colors? Here, water is not just an element. It symbolizes the boundless possibilities of nature, the struggle between man and the elements. Now, imagine how these works influenced European art. In the 19th century, artists like Vincent van Gogh and Claude Monet drew inspiration from these prints, noticing how simple lines and forms could convey depth and movement. For instance, Monet, with his famous water lily paintings, was inspired by how Hokusai depicted light and shadow on the water's surface. But that's not all. Hiroshige, with his series 36 Views of Mount Fuji, used more subtle and delicate hues, portraying the sea in a calm state, reflecting the philosophy of wabi-sabi, beauty in imperfection. In his works, the sea becomes a symbol of time, eternity, and change. Furthermore, his prints were so popular that they were published in large editions, up to 100,000 copies. This helped spread Japanese aesthetics in the Western world, where artists began to use similar methods to convey the dynamism and atmosphere of their own works. The influence of these works can still be felt in contemporary visual culture, from animation to design, where waves and the sea continue to inspire new generations of creators. And here's something even more astonishing. The block printing technique used in these prints is still the basis for many modern prints, keeping the spirit of traditional Japanese art alive and relevant. The ocean occupies more than 70% of the surface of our planet, and this space remains the last great frontier of Earth. Imagine that beneath the smooth surface lie incredible worlds that remain a mystery to humanity. Each cubic centimeter of ocean water contains billions of microscopic organisms, and in its depths, creatures dwell whose sizes can rival modern buildings. For example, the giant squid, with a length that can reach up to 14 meters, hunts in complete darkness, where at depths of over 1,000 meters, absolute darkness reigns. But this is not the most astonishing fact. The temperature of the water at such depths can drop to 0 degrees Celsius, and the pressure exceeds 900 atmospheres. It's as if 250 people were suddenly placed on your shoulders. The ocean is not just a body of water. It is a complex ecosystem where each drop of water can contain information about the climate, the health of the planet, and even the future of humanity. With each passing year, scientists discover new species that, seemingly, could only exist in science fiction. Transparent-bodied fish, jellyfish that glow in the dark, and even creatures that can live without oxygen. To understand how these organisms have adapted to such extreme conditions, a multidisciplinary approach is needed, combining biology, physics, chemistry, and even engineering sciences. In recent decades, technologies for studying the ocean have significantly advanced. Underwater drones equipped with high-definition cameras and sensors can explore the most inaccessible corners where humans have never set foot. But the question remains, are we truly ready to understand all these depths? The ocean absorbs around 30% of the carbon dioxide emitted by humanity, leading to its acidification and threatening billions of marine inhabitants. This is just one of many challenges we face. Each new day reveals new mysteries, but to unravel them, we need knowledge, technology, and above all, the desire to preserve this amazing and mysterious space. The oceans hold reserves of fresh water that can be used in the future, and the ruthless depths may harbor medicines that can cure diseases we are not even aware of. With each dive, researchers uncover ever more shocking facts about life under the water, and each time the question arises, what else do we not know about our planet? While the depths of the world ocean hold numerous mysteries, the Argo project represents a revolutionary initiative that has fundamentally transformed the approach to ocean research. This global network of autonomous floating buoys consists of approximately 4,000 devices that tirelessly dive to depths of up to 2,000 meters. Each buoy, acting like a miniature explorer, periodically descends to the bottom, collecting data on temperature, salinity, current speed, and even oxygen content. But how do they accomplish this? The magic lies in a complex system that includes wireless technologies and satellite data transmission. When a buoy surfaces, it transmits the collected information in real time via satellites, allowing scientists to access the data instantly. This process occurs every 10 days, ensuring continuous monitoring of ocean conditions. But that's not all. The buoy can record parameters that are critically important for understanding climate change. For instance, a change in ocean temperature by just 1 degree can trigger global catastrophes, including changes in ecosystems and sea level rise. And here's where it gets really fascinating. The data collected by the buoys is made available to scientists worldwide, fostering global cooperation in climate change research. This discovery has led to the creation of the first models predicting changes in ocean circulation, and thus, in Earth's climate. Imagine how much information is hidden beneath the ocean's surface, and how crucial it is to know what is happening in its depths. And the most astonishing thing? These buoy data have already helped explain such enigmas as the expansion of dead zones in the ocean, where oxygen levels are so low that life is impossible. Imagine standing on the threshold of one of the most ambitious initiatives in the history of oceanography, the Seabed 2030 project. The goal of this global endeavor is to completely map the ocean floor by 2030, and this is not just a dream. Currently, around 20% of the data has already been collected. But this is just the beginning, as the ocean covers more than 70% of our planet's surface. The technology used is multi-beam echo sounding, which allows for precise measurement of depth and relief of the ocean floor, creating detailed maps. What's fascinating is that these maps will not only aid in navigation, but also in laying underwater cables for communication and electricity, which is critically important in today's world where every second counts. Now, imagine that this project involves not only scientists, but also commercial vessels and even yachts that collect data during their voyages. This collaboration between government, private, and scientific organizations creates a unique global network capable of gathering information about those parts of the ocean that traditional scientific expeditions may not reach. But that's not all. Understanding the geological processes occurring on the ocean floor will help us better predict tsunamis and other natural disasters. Additionally, the project will aid in the protection of marine ecosystems, as knowledge of the ocean floor's structure will enable us to protect important biological zones and prevent the destruction of their habitats. And here's another shocking fact. Less than 10% of the ocean floor had been detailed before the start of this project. So, if you thought you knew everything about the oceans, think again. In the 60s of the last century, researchers began to realize that the ocean floor harbors incredible mysteries. In 1977, when a submersible named Alvin discovered hydrothermal vents on the floor of the Pacific Ocean, the world learned anew what life means. These oases of life are located at depths of more than 2,000 meters, where temperatures exceed 200 degrees Celsius. These are not just hot springs, but genuine ecosystems where chemosynthesis serves as the primary source of energy instead of the familiar photosynthesis. Imagine bacteria living in these conditions, using hydrogen sulfide released from the earth to produce organic compounds that serve as food for other organisms. These extremophile organisms, such as tube worms and mollusks, have adapted to a toxic environment where oxygen is almost absent, and pressure is 800 times greater than at the surface. One of the most famous inhabitants of this ecosystem is the tube worm Riftia pachyptila, which can reach lengths of up to 3 meters and has the unique ability to absorb hydrogen sulfide and convert it into nutrients. This discovery not only astonished scientists, but also opened new horizons in understanding the origins of life on Earth. How could such organisms survive in conditions we once considered absolutely intolerable? Studies of these systems help us understand how life could exist on other planets with similarly extreme conditions. For example, under the icy shell of Europa, a moon of Jupiter, there may be an ocean with similar chemosynthetic ecosystems. What's even more astonishing? These hydrothermal vents also contain minerals that could be used in future technologies, such as the production of clean energy. Each new fact about them opens doors to unexplored worlds, where we learn not only about life, but also about the possibilities of existence on other planets. Every year, oceans absorb around 30% of the carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere, leading to shocking consequences for marine ecosystems. Imagine the pH of marine water decreasing by 30%, equivalent to a shift from pH 8 to pH 7, which is just one step, but it has catastrophic effects. This process, known as ocean acidification, occurs when carbon dioxide dissolves in water, forming carbonic acid, which then dissociates, releasing hydrogen ions and lowering the pH. This means that marine water becomes more acidic, and such changes are successfully documented by scientists worldwide, including data collected using buoys and underwater sensors. But do you know that these conditions threaten not only the chemical composition of water, but also the lives of marine organisms? For example, mollusks and crustaceans with calcium shells and skeletons begin to struggle with forming their protective structures. In conditions of increased acidity, they need more energy to create calcium, which could lead to a decrease in their populations. This, in turn, affects the entire food chain, as many marine species depend on these organisms as a food source. Coral reefs, which are home to thousands of species, become particularly vulnerable. A decrease in pH weakens their calcium structures and slows their growth. According to scientists, by the year 2050, more than half of the world's coral reefs may be significantly damaged if no action is taken. But that's not all. Ocean acidification also affects the marine microbiome, which could change the ways carbon is processed in the marine environment, and consequently, the planet's climate system. Scientists are developing various monitoring methods to track changes in pH levels, including the use of satellite data and underwater robots, to understand how deep this problem can be resolved. Each year, they make new predictions about how acidification will affect ecosystems, forecasting that if carbon emissions continue to rise, the consequences could lead to a global crisis for all marine life. For instance, some estimates suggest that the Gulf Stream could weaken, leading to changes in temperature regimes in the Atlantic Ocean, and this is just the beginning. The question is, how quickly can we adapt to these changes, and what can we do to prevent a catastrophe? Imagine an ocean that hides within itself millions of mysteries, many of which remain unsolved to this day. In the future, oceanology will not just be a science, but a true battlefield for understanding our time. Hundreds of thousands of species, which we have not yet discovered, will inspire awe and amazement, and research will become a truly global endeavor. Scientific groups from around the world will unite to study the deep waters where light never penetrates and where temperatures can drop to 0 degrees Celsius. The ocean will be viewed as a complex ecosystem where each species, from the smallest plankton cell to the majestic blue whale, plays an indispensable role. Isn't it shocking? We know that approximately 90% of the oceans remain unexplored, opening up endless possibilities for future discoveries. Oceanologists will use new methods and approaches to understand not only how marine ecosystems function, but also how they respond to rapid climate change. It is expected that by the year 2050, sea levels will rise by 1 meter, leading to significant changes in coastal lines and ecosystems. This forces us to rethink our relationship with the ocean. Collaboration between different scientific disciplines, from biology to meteorology, will be a key element in studying these deep waters. Research will be directed not only towards understanding ecology, but also towards solving practical problems such as pollution and climate change. This means that oceanologists will work not only with marine biologists, but also with engineers, ecologists, and even sociologists. Did you know that approximately 30% of the carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere is absorbed by the ocean? This makes it vital for our climate, but also puts marine ecosystems at risk. We stand on the threshold of a new era of research, where each step forward will bring not only new knowledge, but also practical solutions for protecting our blue planet. And here is where it gets truly fascinating. Oceans will serve not only as a source of resources, but also as a key to understanding how to preserve our planet for future generations. Underwater volcanoes, whose eruptions can create new forms of life, and mysterious deep-sea fish living at depths of more than 8 kilometers await their researchers. Will we be able to unravel all the mysteries that the ocean hides? Artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming the approach to studying the ocean. With the help of machine learning algorithms, scientists can analyze vast amounts of data collected by sensors and underwater vehicles. Imagine this. A research vessel can generate data volumes of tens of terabytes in a single day, while processing this data without AI can take months. Thanks to modern technologies such as neural networks, it has become possible to identify marine animal species from images and sounds, which was previously considered almost impossible. For example, the Deep Sea Net system, developed in 2020, can identify more than 80% of fish species from video recordings taken at depths of 2 kilometers. But that's not all. Algorithms can not only classify organisms, but also track their migrations, providing information on how ecosystems change under human influence. What's even more astonishing? AI is used to model oceanic processes such as currents and water heating, allowing scientists to predict how temperature changes will affect global climate. For instance, using these models, one can determine how a 1-degree increase in temperature can affect the oxygen level in water, which is critically important for the survival of marine organisms. And what about weather forecasting? Here, AI plays a crucial role. Algorithms analyze data on pressure, temperature, and humidity collected by satellites and buoys, and can make highly accurate predictions. Did you know that the accuracy of forecasts can increase by 30% with the use of machine learning? This means we can better prepare for natural disasters and minimize the damage they can cause. Automation of underwater vehicle control is another area where AI demonstrates its power. Underwater drones equipped with AI systems can independently plan routes, avoid obstacles, and collect data without constant human supervision. For example, in 2021, one such vehicle explored underwater canyons at depths of over 4 kilometers, collecting data on geological structures and marine life. However, the capabilities of AI in oceanology do not end there. Researchers are starting to use algorithms to analyze sound waves to not only identify animals, but also detect changes in ecosystems caused, for instance, by ship noise or underwater construction. This opens up new horizons in understanding the interaction between humans and the environment. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. In the future, we can expect the development of even more complex technologies that will help us unravel the mysteries of the ocean that remain unsolved. The digital twin of the ocean is not just an idea, but a genuine revolution in understanding marine processes. Imagine a highly detailed computer model that encompasses all oceanic phenomena, from current movements to water temperature changes. The European project Destination Earth, initiated by the European Union, aims to create such a model by integrating data from numerous sources: satellites, buoys, underwater sensors, and even meteorological stations. This will allow us to see the ocean as never before, thanks to the application of modern technologies to create a unified system that tracks and models oceanic processes in real time. What's most exciting is that this system can predict not only local phenomena, such as sea level changes or temperature fluctuations, but also global processes that can impact the climate as a whole. For instance, it can predict how a temperature change in one part of the ocean will affect ecosystems in another. And that's not all. This digital twin can become an indispensable tool for managing fish resources. With its help, we can track fish migration and optimize fishing, which is crucial for sustainable fisheries. But the possibilities don't stop there. Predicting natural disasters such as hurricanes or tsunamis will become more accurate and timely, saving thousands of lives. Imagine scientists being able to predict a potential flood and prepare the necessary measures in advance. And the most astonishing part? The data collected for the digital twin can be used for planning maritime activities, including trade and ecosystem protection. Thus, this project not only helps manage resources, but also ensures the safety of maritime routes, which is of immense importance to the global economy. What's even more astonishing? The modeling can be so precise that we can understand how even small changes in one part of the ocean can trigger a chain reaction affecting the entire planet. Biomimicry in marine technologies opens up completely new horizons. Imagine robots that swim as naturally as their live prototypes. These devices, modeled after sharks and other marine animals, can maneuver so precisely that they are hard to spot underwater. Studies show that such robots can reach speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour, making them much faster than traditional submersibles. But this is not their only advantage. Thanks to special control systems inspired by jellyfish movements, these robots become almost silent. This allows them to monitor the environment without disturbing the ecosystem. But here's what's even more astonishing. Octopuses, with their ability to change shape and color, have inspired scientists to create robots that can adapt to various conditions. These devices can be used to explore hard-to-reach places like deep-sea reefs or sunken ships, where traditional submersibles often prove ineffective. For example, a recent project developed at MIT's lab allows octopus robots to be controlled remotely and to adjust to their surroundings, opening up new possibilities for studying the ocean floor. But that's not the strangest part. Imagine entire schools of such robots working together, collecting data and transmitting it in real time. Systems using algorithms based on the behavior of fish in schools allow these devices to coordinate their actions, significantly increasing the efficiency of data collection. They can explore large areas of the ocean, collecting data on water temperature, oxygen levels, and pollution, which is critically important for protecting marine ecosystems. If you thought that was amazing, wait for this. Developments in the field of biomimicry allow for the creation not only of autonomous devices, but also of hybrid systems that combine robotics with biological elements. Scientists are exploring the possibility of integrating live cells into robot structures, which could lead to the creation of living devices capable of self-repair. For example, prototypes already exist that use collagen materials mimicking the structure of jellyfish, increasing their flexibility and adaptability. Thus, biomimicry is not just changing the approach to creating marine technologies, it is opening a new era in ocean research and environmental protection. And here's the craziest part. Already now, developments are underway to create robots that can mimic the sounds of marine animals for communication among themselves, which in the future could lead to the creation of complex ecosystems of robotic beings. Imagine a submerged city where people live, work, and explore the depths of the ocean, much like astronauts living on orbital stations. The Proteus project, inspired by Stanisław Lem's work, is already paving the way for the creation of permanent underwater research stations. These stations could become true laboratories at depths of up to 100 meters, enabling long-term scientific research. What's most fascinating is that these stations can be built from durable materials capable of withstanding pressures many times greater than atmospheric, ensuring the safety of researchers. One solution for long-term human habitation underwater is the use of modular construction. Each module can be autonomous but connected to others, creating a network of living and research spaces. This would not only provide comfort, but also allow for experiments in conditions inaccessible to short-term expeditions. For instance, such stations could be equipped to study bioluminescent organisms that inhabit great depths where light does not penetrate. Now, imagine researchers observing the behavior of deep-sea ecosystems in real time, collecting data that would be impossible to gather in just a few weeks of an expedition. The stations would be equipped with modern technologies such as underwater drone systems and automated cameras, allowing for environmental monitoring without human intervention. Such conditions would create a platform for education where students and scientists worldwide could participate in virtual tours and research projects, exploring the oceans in ways never before possible. This would be similar to the development of orbital space stations, where each new project opens new horizons for science and technology. What's even more exciting? The scientific potential of these underwater stations could lead to breakthroughs in medicine, such as studying the unique properties of underwater organisms that could be used to develop new drugs. While space continues to attract researchers each year, the oceans remain the least explored and most mysterious places on the planet, and underwater stations could be the key to unlocking these secrets. The ocean is not just a vast expanse of water, it is a vast enigma, both alluring and terrifying. Imagine this. Beneath the surface lie worlds that can hold all our dreams and fears, from vibrant coral reefs teeming with life to dark abysses where creatures dwell that we can barely imagine. Oceans cover more than 70% of our planet, and each square kilometer is filled with mysteries that can change our perception of life. But what is truly remarkable is that the more we learn about the ocean, the more questions we have. Many marine species have yet to be described by scientists, and new ones are discovered each year. Have you ever thought that one day the ocean might reveal its secrets to us, or perhaps hide them even deeper? Remarkably, in the boundless waters, there are organisms that can survive in extreme conditions, from hot springs on the ocean floor to the icy waters of the Arctic. These creatures, like the sea anemone, can be sources of new medical discoveries or symbols of how little we know about our world. But this is not the strangest thing. In human consciousness, the ocean is often associated with eternal struggle, between exploration and fear, between temptation and danger. It has been a source of inspiration for artists and poets for centuries, reflecting our hopes and fears. For instance, in the myths of many cultures, the ocean is a symbol of forces we must learn to coexist with. Did you know that the ancient Greeks considered the ocean the home of Poseidon, the god who could bestow blessings or send storms? This duality makes the ocean not only an object of scientific study, but also a source of cultural symbolism that makes us ponder our place in this world. Every time we look at the horizon, we see not only endless expanses, but also reflections of our own dreams and ambitions. The ocean teaches us humility in the face of nature's power, showing us that we are but a small part of this vast system. It inspires us to make new discoveries, encouraging us to explore its depths, where perhaps the answers to many of our questions lie. For example, ocean currents can move vast amounts of water, creating climate conditions that affect the entire planet.